coming this evening and doing our invocation. And I want you to bring it like you did on the 25th, okay? Okay, come on up.
Good evening. Let us pray. God of our mothers and our fathers, whom has watched over us block by block and generation by generation, we come before you lifting up your city, Stockton, this evening. This is the place we live. This is the place we love, the place we are raising our children. You see the weight our people are carrying right now. You see the rising cost of living, the stress in our homes, the fatigue in our spirits. Some are trying to hold it together, Lord, and some are barely making it. So we ask you to meet us right where we are. We lift up our mayor and vice mayor. These are not just titles, God, but people carrying heavy responsibilities. Give them wisdom with decision and when decisions are hard, courage when the pressure is strong, and hearts that stay connected to the people they serve. Guide every city official and public servant as they face real issues like housing, safety, education, and opportunity. Help them to lead with integrity, listen with humanity, and act with compassion. Heal our city, Lord. Heal the hurt that has gone unspoken. Heal the trauma that shows up in our streets and in our schools. Heal the frustration that too often turns neighbors against neighbors. Teach us how to disagree without tearing each other down. Teach us how to move forward together without leaving anyone behind. We declare over Stockton that we are more than our headlines, more than our struggles, more than our past. Cover our young people, God. Protect our elders, strengthen our families, restore hope in the places where it feels like it has run dry. God, breathe fresh vision into our city we call home. Give us unity without uniformity, justice without bitterness, and progress that never forgets our humanity. And now, Lord, do what only you can do. So, God, I ask that you remember us like Noah. God, favor us like Moses. Honor us like Mary. God, fight for us like the Israelites. Prosper us like Isaac. Promote Stockton like Joseph. Intervene for us like Esther. Protect us like Daniel. And use us like Paul. God, heal us like Naaman. Answer us like Elijah. Anoint us like David. And keep us safe like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, God, go in front of us. Go behind us. Go beside us. Matter of fact, God, you just go for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Now we're going to be moving on to our Pledge of Allegiance. This young lady, she is a first grader at Harrison Elementary. And after I left AME Zion Church, I actually went over to First Baptist Church. And at First Baptist Church, I heard this young lady do the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to have Daisy Chapel come on up. We got to pull the mic down for her. And is it okay? Good. Okay. It's hard to see you.
Everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we would move on to recognitions. Oh, excuse me. Report of action taken in closed session.
No reportable action this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. This time would be set aside for recognitions, announcements, or reports. Seeing that there are none, I will be moving things around. Just want to let everybody know that I know at the last council meeting on January 27th, public comment was moved to follow new business on the agenda. This action will likely be more common in council meetings throughout California as councils adopt the new guidelines of SB 707. It was adopted in 2025. This revision of format allows the following: focus on official business, which when we have items that we vote on, again, that's the people's business that we need to do in a timely manner, preventing immediate action, orderly process, and structuring non-agenda comments. So we are revisiting one of the items, and I will just say we are going to go ahead and begin with item 15.1. Then we will go 16.1, then into the consent agenda, followed by public comments, as well as the administrative matters, city manager's update, and council comments. Okay? So, we're going to still read the decorum, rules for decorum, so everybody is on the same page. City Clerk?
The City of Stockton invites the public to participate in various ways. If you have any questions regarding forms of participation, please contact the Office of the City Clerk. This is the time for citizens' comments, announcements, or invitations, or as we go through the meeting. You may comment on any subject within the jurisdiction of the City Council, including items on the agenda. To ensure sufficient participation and conduct agendized city business, the public is limited to one 3-minute comment opportunity. Citizens' public comments are not a time for discussions with council regarding subjects not on the agenda for this meeting, as the Brown Act limits such discussions. Comments made by members of the public or council may not reflect the viewpoint of the council. We ask that you maintain the rules of decorum as outlined in City Council meeting decorum policy. The mayor shall preserve strict order and decorum at all meetings. Persons addressing the council shall not utter loud, threatening, or abusive language, nor engage in any other conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise unreasonably impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. The city council members will practice civility and decorum in their discussions and debate. A member shall not delay or interrupt the proceedings of the council or use personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks. Any council member who violates the rules repeatedly shall be sanctioned and be barred from further participation. Members shall not disturb any council members while speaking, nor disobey the orders of the presiding officer. If a point of order is requested, the presiding officer will ask the interrupter to state their point, and the presiding officer shall make a ruling. The rules of decorum set forth above shall be enforced in the following manner. Warning: the presiding officer shall request that a person who is breaching the rules of decorum be orderly and silent. If, after receiving a warning from the presiding officer, a person, including a council member, persists in disturbing the meeting, the presiding officer shall order him or her to leave the council meeting. If such person does not remove himself or herself, the presiding officer will order any law enforcement officer who is on duty at the meeting to remove that person from the council chambers.
Okay, thank you for that. And just so council knows, 5 minutes for discussion on any agenda item and 5 minutes for questions on that agenda item. So we're moving on to item 15.1. It's to conduct a public hearing for the formation of the Downtown Stockton Community Improvement District. I declare the public hearing open. Good evening, Ms. McCarty.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Unfortunately, we weren't aware of the change of order, and so the presenter from DSA, the CEO, is frantically en route but not in the building at the moment. I'd ask that you'd entertain holding off on this item for a bit.
Okay, so we will move on then to item 16.1.
Thank you. Apologies.
Okay, so moving on to item 16.1, accept the fiscal year, it's still open. Accept the fiscal year 2025 fourth quarter budget status update and authorize budget amendments. Is Mr. Garcia going to be presenting?
Yes, Mayor. He is on his way.
Everybody's on their way tonight. So everybody knows this is the City of Stockton's CFO, if you haven't met him.
So we need to pass out the PowerPoint. Let me get these. Yeah, I think so. All right. Good. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Gilbert Garcia, the CFO of the City of Stockton. It's my pleasure to meet you this evening. All right, the PowerPoint. Perfect. Which, so which one of these buttons? Oh, do I have to point over there? All right. All right.
Mayor, point of information really quick. Is the PowerPoint that we have in the iPad the same as the handout that we have, or is there a change?
There's a change,
Oh,
a couple of
there's-
changes.
So look at this.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So this is the 24-25 fourth quarter budget status update. So I'd like to start off with positive news. These are the city's revenues for fiscal year 24-25. Our budgeted revenues, meaning what we had estimated to be our revenues, were $319.8 million, and we actually collected $334.4 million. So we did better than expected, due primarily to three factors. So we had more on-hand cash, so that gave us more interest revenues. Our property taxes were, you know what, I need to turn this off, sorry. So our property taxes were better than anticipated. So that looks like it would be ongoing revenue, so we can adjust upwards our ongoing revenue estimates going forward. Again, great news. And then other agencies, basically, it was a true-up additional money we received for our redevelopment increment. So there's a fund that the county disperses related to redevelopment. Our general fund revenues are trending up, so which is good. So this chart shows that year over year, our general fund revenues are increasing. Although it does show that the rate at which general fund revenues are growing is slowing down. On the expenditure side, our total expenditures were $390.5 million. Our budget versus expenditures of $389.9 million. So we came in slightly under budget, so about $500,000 under budget. This chart shows basically general fund activity. We started off the year with a $51.3 million fund balance. Our net gain, as I illustrated, our revenues were healthier than anticipated, and we came in on budget, so our net gain was about $6.4 million. So our ending fund balance was $57 $57.7 million. So we did see, again, a growth in fund balance, which as a CFO is something that I am pleased to report, although, it's something that happened before I got here, so I can't take credit for that. Our ending fund balance, again, so you'll see the same number, $57.7 million. Our working capital reserve, which is a policy that policy mandated figure, is $54.7 million based on our expenditures. So that leaves an available amount of $3 million for appropriation. So that is $3 million that is available for future appropriation.
Quick question, Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
Was it our last meeting or our meeting on January 13th where we moved funds from 1 year into our current year, from this into the current year?
Those are deducted. So those are already accounted for. So they would have been, that number would have been higher had council not taken those actions, or had we not brought that to council.
Yes, because then it would have been closer to like 15 million, but we moved that 12 million into the current year.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So while all the news I've shared up to this point has been positive, we've had incremental growth, we are sticking to our budget. I think our long-range financial plan, this is a familiar scenario to the city council and to the public. It does show that given the assumptions that are in the long-range financial plan, we will be eating into that reserve over time. However, I've gotten feedback from people, not only here, but other places. Well, you always show this, but then every year you make budget. And that's because the city manager and CFO, if we're doing our jobs right, we always present to you a balanced budget. So we take oftentimes budget balancing measures, cuts and other activities to make sure that we present to you a balanced budget. So that is why, that's why in those out years, we don't necessarily, the budget doesn't necessarily reflect the trajectory that you see in a long-range plan. And again, so start off really positive. We do know that in the future, we have labor negotiations coming up, and so that is something, that will be part of our budget balancing in the very, very near future. And these are some administrative things that are described in the report, but basically in other funds, we have sufficient revenues to cover these appropriations. And then within the general fund, some of the smaller departments, we don't budget vacancies in them. We budget in non-departmental. So at the end of the year, we sweep their vacancy savings and move it into departmental. And that's what you see here. That concludes my presentation. And of course, I'm open for questions.
Okay, are there any questions from council for Mr. Garcia? Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. One of the things that's missing here is obviously the update on why we didn't receive a budget book for 2025, which is standard and customary. Every year there's been, as far as back as I've researched, a budget book provided. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of discussion around us approving things and not approving things. When could we expect to see a budget book that reflects what the council voted for in 2025?
So we plan to bring that back to the next council meeting. So that's our plan to the next council meeting.
Okay, so the next council meeting, okay. And thank you for that. And then the other thing is just if you can, again, I'm in my sophomore year as an elected, I'm learning still, and I'm slow when it comes to this, I'm learning. Walk me through where we saw the cost savings and where we have this now $3 million. Is $3 million or $2 million? $3 million?
Three.
$3 million, because this council had to cut 15.2 or 15.3 million in the budget when we were approving it. How did we, so we cut the 15.23 million, but then came back with $3 million. Is it because additional taxes? Could could just walk me through that one more time?
So, small part of it was because of the revenues that we received, so property taxes, the redevelopment increment, and then what we expect to be one-time funds for interest earnings. But also, we've trued up, so we fully funded the reserve, so that was where a lot of that $12 million went, is restoring to the full capacity our net working reserve. So if we hadn't done that, then, you know, we'd have, like, as the mayor pointed out, like $15 million. But we needed to, per policy, close that gap and fully fund our reserve if we
And
have.
then that $3 million goes back into the general fund, or where does that go?
So the $3 million is part of the general fund balance. And so that is the portion that isn't put into reserve that is available for council to appropriate.
Okay, and then if you can just, the three, so the yellow bars here is just showing us what the years prior to this year was?
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, which
On
slide?
page, I don't know what page is, the bars, the general fund revenue trends slide. So
Oh, the trends. Yes, that's showing what the overall revenues are by fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move to public comment.
Mary Elizabeth, to the podium, please.
Mary Elizabeth, and welcome. I'm really glad, excited that we have, somebody looking after our books. Two things. One is since this presentation was not included in the agenda materials as presented, I want to make sure that that is updated in the draft minutes and available for the public that were not here because watching that doesn't always happen. A second comment that I had was in regard to general plan revenues. And, I don't think that when we talk about affordability, when we pray about affordability, when we lift up the notion of affordability, we are not realizing that the number 3 source of income in the general fund is the utility tax. And not every community in San Joaquin County, in fact, no other community in San Joaquin County has a 6% utility tax. And so when our residents' PG&E bills or Cal Water bills go, or Xfinity bills go sky high, on top of that is a 6%, and that sky highness adds to the 6% that is due the city. So just recognize that and see if we can do some more work with making sure that those business taxes are paid. Thank you.
That concludes public comment for this item.
Okay, bring it back to council for discussion. I guess I will jump in. I appreciate what Mary Elizabeth brought up. I just want confirmation that utility tax stays with the utilities, though. That's not funding that we can access.
The utility users tax is general fund.
Oh, I'm thinking of the MUD.
Oh, MUD, yes, there's strict requirements that any revenues generated by MUD have to be used for MUD activities. We cannot transfer them to the general fund. We cannot use them, no, correct.
Okay, and then I noticed something else when reviewing the numbers in the year-end budget update where police, they had an approved budget of $144 million. The year-end projection is at, well, 144.8, and then the year-end projection is 142.7, so there's a difference of 2.1 million there. But we have quite a few vacancies still. And knowing that that money then stayed within the police department for them to use for things other than the vacancy.
Yes, I mean, that's the short answer. So I guess maybe.
Well, no, because at the last meeting, there was an item about fire.
Right.
And that fire had some money, and that money stayed with fire. Well, had the police not used, all of this?
I understand what you're saying. Correct. If the police had budget savings overall, we could have come back to the city council with a recommendation to use that money on police activities. Yes, absolutely.
And Mayor, part of this process, as we go down the road, we're going to look at starting to reward our departments when they becomes better guardians of their funds. So what we're trying to do is get out of the process just because you have the money to spend it, and if they can save it, we would like to try to reward them to use it back, some portion of it, and that's basically what you saw with the fire department, and we will continue to try to do those type of things with all of our departments.
Yeah, and looking at Measure A, because it has the sales tax revenue, we were pretty on target. We actually have about 180,000 more than we had anticipated. But knowing whether or not that 65, 35, if that 65 stays then with the police department, I know this is more than 65, but knowing that that money in the future would stay in order for the police department to be able to fully fund their department.
Correct. We track those separately, and that would stay within the police department, and within the respective departments, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the questions I had, it may be something to present at a later date, but I talked about tax and our tax base. I know we're working on our joint use agreement with the county to increase our tax base. Will we get an update at some point on that, or is it appropriate now to get the update here? Because obviously we all want to see that concluded.
We are still in the process of working with them. We're actually shooting, we were shooting for the last meeting this month for actual agreement. That's not going to happen because of scheduling. So hopefully sometime in March, we will be bringing forth a new tax sharing agreement.
And I do appreciate you, City Manager, for coming in, jumping right in that. And I think what would be helpful now that we have a CFO, and thank you for being here, is just being able to start forecasting, right? Because ideally, the community knows we have Measure A, we have all these different things. The city has to become financial solvent without depending on special taxes. And I think that there's a lot of work that we have to do to make sure that that happens, but also in continuing both in transparency and showing people where their money's being spent, is to also educate them on why we have this special tax and what we need to do to continue to grow as a city with the things they see, like infrastructure and other things. So that'd be helpful now that you're here to really understand the forecasting. But thank you.
Okay, seeing no more lights up, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you for the first time officially in this capacity. Thank you.
Okay, so we are going back. I saw Mr. Huber come in. We are going back to item 15.1. Public hearing for the formation of the Downtown Stockton Community Improvement District. I did not hit the gavel down again, so it's still open.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Apologies for the delay on this item, but we are ready to roll. So briefly, just for the public to let everyone know what we're doing tonight and what is going on. We are conducting a hearing on the formation of the Downtown Community Improvement District, formerly the known as the Downtown Stockton Alliance. Our past history on this item, Council held a hearing on the formation on October 14th of 25, during which time the ballots were tabulated and reported out with 76% in support. Council, however, did not support the formation at that time, and the outcome of which that action that night was that the DSA would dissolve at the end of this calendar year, 2026. On November 18th of '25, Council took the necessary actions to allow this item to be brought back for reconsideration. This reconsideration has been noticed to property owners as required to allow this hearing tonight. And with that, I would like to introduce CEO of the DSA, Mike Huber, who will present on the organization.
Thank you, Director McCarty, Council, Mayor, Vice Mayor. Welcome back, Mr. Ford. Mike Huber, Executive Director, Downtown Stockton Alliance. I think we have a presentation. And oh. There we go. Thank you. So the Downtown Stockton Alliance is seeking to renew its bid for a 20-year bid. That would put us into a community improvement district. And, oops, did I do that wrong? There we go. We're a 501c6 nonprofit improvement district, and now instead of a P-bid, we'll be a community improvement district. In 1996, the Downtown Stockton Alliance was incorporated. In '97, we began operations and have renewed several times in that period to today. Our mission is to promote business, housing, arts, entertainment, and to create a vibrant and sustainable community in downtown Stockton. This is the district map currently. The two areas in color A and B were the expansion areas that were talked about in the November 14th meeting. And that's where we had some, I guess, some confusion. This is the assessment method. How we assess is the footprint and then the building going up. So first floor, second floor, third floor. And those are the assessment rates. That's our maintenance team that keeps downtown clean, power washes, removes waste, empties 170 garbage cans for the waste management companies in partnership. The community ambassador team does several things. Most of what we do is homeless outreach to try to connect them with supportive services, but we also are eyes and ears that call in if we see something to the police department, and if we have a jump start a car or we need somebody that needs a personal escort, we'll do that, and a lot of wayfinding. If, you know, people come downtown that aren't familiar with it, then they ask for directions, and our guys are there to help. Some of the beautification projects we've done were on city-owned properties. This was Chung Hua Lane that sat for 50 years. We redid that on our cost, which is now a beautiful and vibrant space for people to take pictures. We had a lot of people come in from out of town to do selfies there, and we've held several events there. Marketing and economic development. If you own a business here in Stockton, in downtown Stockton, we'll market it for you. If you have a building and you want to fill the space, we'll find a tenant for you. If you're selling your building, we'll help you do that. So we have about 25,000 social media platform followers. Business support, we'll do just the same for them. We have a downtown enterprise zone loan process, so if you've been denied by a typical lending institution, you can apply for up to $60,000 to help you get either your business up and going, or if you need extra resources to grow your business. We also have and have managed grant programs for both the city and the county. Most recently for the city was the ARPA, American Rescue Act facade program, where we were able to do 82 properties and beautify them. Not all of them were in the downtown district. A lot of them were, we expanded the district down Fremont Street to Yosemite, out to Harding Way, and then over to Union Street so that we could touch more properties and get more viability for beautifying those buildings that needed some love. We have an entrepreneurial program. The one that we use the most is the broken window program. If somebody gets a broken window, we'll pay up to $800 per window, and that's been a very successful program. And there's also a window wrap program that we do if you want to advertise. And what's interesting is not one of the window wrap the windows have been broken, which I find interesting, and I don't know whether that's an anomaly or it's because they don't see the reflection or whoever's breaking the window, but none of the window wraps have been damaged. To adopt this resolution, in Zone 1 is what we currently have, and so we were looking to expand into 2 other areas. We approved the assessment formula through the petition process through you guys, which you approved in July, and then brought it back to ballot, which again, Director McCarty said that we received a 76-24 approval. And you guys approved the final management plan. So thank you, and any questions?
Okay. Does council have any questions for Mr. Huber? Councilman Blower.
So just to clarify the map, when you say Zone 1, did you say Zone 1 would be the original boundaries and that doesn't include A and B?
Yeah, let's go back there you go. So Zone 1 is the area that is not colored. A and B were the 2 expansion areas.
Okay, so the recommendation is we approve the original boundaries, correct? Or do we have to actively tell you to do that?
Yeah, if I may. So tonight, council's options are to approve the formation as it was balloted, which is the entire district, including A and B, so it would include the expansion. You're approving the budget, you're approving the management plan and the goals in it. And the formulas that were done by a consulting firm to create and establish this budget. If that does not serve the pleasure of council, you do have the authority as the final appointing entity to make an adjustment through motion to what you see before you. That would also be an option. Your other option would be to not approve anything, which would in essence dissolve the DSA by the end of this calendar year.
Okay. Would now be an appropriate time to make that motion, or does the thing need to be closed? I know other people need to talk.
Yeah, and we have public comment yet, so. Okay. Done? Okay. Councilman Villapudua.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Ms. Huber, for the presentation. Just a few questions. What is your schedule for cleanups? I noticed you do cleanups, you do water pressure. What is the basic schedule on weekdays? I mean, what is it? Can you explain and give me the information?
Yeah, Monday through Friday, the maintenance team cleans the streets, picks up debris, does landscaping, empties the garbage cans. Power washing's done every 2 weeks for every block. And then the community ambassadors patrol 24/7.
Okay, I was looking at the map, but I noticed that that you also do, like, is Cesar Chavez, is that your area? Cesar Chavez's library, is that your area?
No, it's not. That was part of Expansion B, as well as the teen center.
Okay, because I noticed that you've done that.
But we do is the right thing, so we do go and patrol the library because there's a lot of people after hours that hang around there, and so we do that, you know, as a benefit. Okay. We also do the same thing for the Studio 6. When they call, we'll respond, even though they're not currently in the district that pays for that.
I know, besides the cleaning and water pressuring and things like that, what does the organization do as well?
Well, we do economic development, advocacy, marketing. You know, if a property owner is having problems at the permit center that we can, you know, use our expertise to get involved, we'll certainly do that. We'll do anything for our property owners for the benefit of the downtown.
Now, is the window program, how has that been working with people?
Great. You know, the last thing we want to see is boards on windows if they're broken. So we responded quickly. The way the program works is you pay to get it repaired, you submit the invoice to us, and within 2 days, we'll get you a check in your hand.
Okay, and then this is probably a question for the city manager. Why are we doing 20-year contracts? Why is it got to be that long? What is it for? I mean,
The Community Improvement District is written in our code to allow it to go 20 years. And I think the idea behind that is the stability in these organizations to continue to support the businesses in the area.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So the cost is the same to do a 10 or a 20. So because this money comes out of the assessments, it's more beneficial to our property owners to do it 20 so that we don't have to do it every 10 years and take that money out of the assessments, so we can put more money into boots on the ground, clean and safe.
And my last question. Wilson Way, was that one of you guys' before? Is it on there or was it not on there? Did you guys do it before?
We did not. The city of Stockton used to have 3 improvement districts, the Miracle Mile, the Downtown, and Wilson Way. The property owners on Wilson Way voted to disband their property improvement district. And if you go by there, I think you can see the benefits of an improvement district.
Yeah, that's what I brought up. Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Councilwoman Padilla.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is for Ms. McCarty. If I remember right, didn't we have the options in the PowerPoint that showed us A and B and each one so that we could choose? Because I remember we were looking at to choose which options, like either A and B or no.
We wouldn't have had options at the time of the hearing. We had been before you in July to talk about the changes in the district in moving from the formation district, a property improvement district, a PID, to a SID, community improvement district. And one of the benefits is, as we've described, it's a 20-year, is one of the biggest changes in that. So we talked about that, and we talked about the difference in the rate structure. So the current map that's on the screen shows all of the area that is not colored. That is the current district. And that current district today, as it stands, has 3 different zones within that one district. So let's call them 1, 2, 3, so as not to confuse with the A and B on the screen. So within the uncolored district that's on the screen, there were 3 zones, and there were 3 levels of payment into those zones because there were 3 levels of services provided. So 1, the outer skirts and the farthest west only included marketing. It included no ambassadors, no cleaning on the streets, and little to no business response. The second district that was a little closer in, so out, in, and then the core. So the middle district included some business outreach and marketing. The inner district also included the services of cleaning and the ambassador program. With this change, and what we talked about in July is the idea of let's go to one zone. So the formulas before you is applied consistently throughout the entire zone. That was approved by council to move in that direction in July. So what is before you tonight is what had been vetted through council and then went to the property owners on the ballot.
Okay, and if you could just remind me, is the residential properties assessed as the same as the commercial or business?
They are not. Can you flip to that? You have a slide that shows that, I believe. They are not. They are a lesser amount, okay. As are, yeah. So the residential units of 3 or less and the nonprofit rate, you can see is calculated a rate of 0.04728, whereas commercial, government, and multifamily are at 0.7881.
So for the residential, is that the square foot of the house?
Yes.
So if I had a 1,000 square foot house, I would be paying less than a 3,000 square foot house?
Correct.
Okay. And then my last question, do all the participants know what services they get? I mean, Because I know you mentioned some don't get business and some get marketing and some get this and some don't get that. So are they aware of what services they're getting?
They are, and every property owner gets an annual report. So all of that's in there along with our budget for the year, all the services that we provide, and then there's some other things of how many garbage cans we emptied, how many bags of trash we had. So, but everyone receives an annual report.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to disclose, and I'd encourage all of my colleagues to disclose, we did meet, and I think it's important that we all disclose for the public, those of us who met with you prior to tonight. Thank you for being here to speak on this. Obviously, during the last meeting, there was lots of pushback from the public, specifically in this district. I don't live in the district, and I don't represent the district, so I look to my colleague to kind of speak to his own position on this. But why do you think there was so much pushback? I guess I would look to you to understand more, and I did enjoy our conversation to become more educated. Obviously, I understand the need for this service, but also understand the public, was very vocal at the time about what they felt. So I just want to know from your perspective, why the pushback?
Well, I can't speak for other people. I do know that you only know what you know, so the things that we have provided since 1997, those are the people that understand the services that we provide and the value in that. I can't speak for why people push back.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, in terms of knowing what they know, what was the outreach and education of those commercial property holders or owners that were speaking out? I mean, can you walk us through what outreach was done to educate people or to provide them opportunity to become educated?
Yeah, in the process, everybody that was in the current district and in the 2 expansion districts were sent out information on the services that we provide, what the assessment rates would be, and that we would be coming through and working through the petition process, which that was the first stage, which we did in July. So everybody that looked at it, I mean, not all of us read our mail. I get a lot of junk mail too, but all that information was sent out.
Okay. Does the city, because the city falls within this zone, correct? Does City Hall, do we fall within this zone?
Well, as Director McCarty said, the city's new city hall was only in the zone for marketing. Now that we're moving as a charter city, into a one zone area, the new city hall will fall into all services, yes. But the library and the teen center, which were proposed in B, do not.
Okay. But City Hall would, and we would be paying the fees too?
Yes.
Okay, and then the last question I have, and thank you for the answers, is once you were formed, is there, like HOA may have meetings with people, do you have regular community meetings where people who may have questions, as my colleague asked, around services, to be able to come and participate, ask questions, get answers?
Yes, we have monthly board meetings and then subcommittee meetings along with that. Those are all posted ahead of time, just like you all do. So anybody can attend a board meeting. We're as transparent as can be. All of our financials are online. So yeah, anybody can attend a board meeting.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Enriquez.
Thank you, Mayor. You actually read my mind, Mr. Huber. First, I want to say I know you and I had met around this time when we initially shot it down, and then now it's coming back, and I want to thank the mayor. I know she was doing a lot behind the scenes to make this a priority to get it back on the agenda, so I want to thank her for that. But in terms of the financials, as the vice mayor was talking, I was looking on the website, downtownstockton.org, and is there another place where you just said you have your financials publicly listed, but it's not on your website? So where is it where I can find it?
It is on the website at the bottom. If you go into the menu and look down on About and go down to the bottom of that page, all of our annual reports are on there.
Got it. Okay. It's a very impressive website, because even in the About, I see DSA, our ARPA programs, and Contact Us. But you said too that the people that when you send out an annual report to all the partners involved, what time of year do you normally do that?
That'd be right about this time of the year, because we're going to be coming before you for our 2027 budget soon.
And to my colleague's question about just the outreach efforts that you did before the initial vote, has any engagement or feedback, listening sessions happen from that vote to tonight?
Yeah, I've spoken with several people in the expansion areas.
What about specifically the people that maybe were against this?
Yes.
You know, who spoke very vocally at the last meeting?
Yes.
Have you engaged those folks since then? And in your perspective, what was the overall theme and input? Have you made any adjustments? Are you mendable? Or what have been some options and ideas that you threw out there based on the feedback you've gotten since then?
Well, the people that I've spoke with, they are against joining the Downtown Alliance formation. Mostly the ones in Expansion Area A. I haven't really heard too much from Expansion Area B, again, because there's some city properties in there. And I understand that. I mean, I at that time when we did this, I wasn't aware of the Caltrans project, but Fremont Street is a gateway into downtown, and we want every gateway to look good, just like your area, the Miracle Mile. That is a gateway in, and that's why we provide the services we do for the Miracle Mile. But yeah, I haven't spoken with everybody that was opposed, but I've spoken to a few people.
Yeah, and I guess that's my big question is, and I know for the public, we got comments from the Miracle Mile Board. I know they also submitted a letter a couple hours ago showing their support of this, so just for the public knows. But in terms of Councilmember Villaputo, he asked a question that I was also thinking of. In terms of what happened in 2007 and 2017, the DSA history of when you did the 10-year renewal, you had answered the question, I believe, to him about a 10-year versus 20-year. What happened in 2007 and 17, whereas it's every 10 years, whereas would it be more difficult or more challenging if you did it every 10 years instead of 20 years? I guess I'm still trying to wrap my head around the benefit of doing a 20-year versus a 10-year.
Right, and it's the cost, again.
Sorry, I can't, the public.
It's the cost. The 10-year and the 20-year basically cost you the same amount to do. As a charter city, we're allowed to do a 20-year bid, which again, if we did it every 10 years, that money that's spent to do this assessment, because it's an expensive process, would be taken away from services that we could be providing.
Got it. Great. Thank you. Those are all my questions.
I have a couple questions. So I did get the, well, first of all, the business fund and the grant programs, you talked about the window wrap. What zone are those usually taken advantage of? All the zones, and how many, and what's the budget for that?
The budget's slowly coming down. Those are county ARPA funds that we're managing. They're not city funds. But
And they'll expire then in 2026?
They'll expire at the end of the year, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have it now, but we won't I think it's after August?
Right, so we're trying to take advantage of that as best as we can and spend that money down. As you know, both the city and the county want to spend their ARPA money down to zero. One more thing on Councilman Enrique, the Miracle Miles bid was a 20.
Can you say that one more time?
The Miracle Miles renewal was a 20 also.
And then there was a question asked by Councilwoman Padilla. Is it based on the square footage of the house or square footage of the lot?
Both. So the footprint is assessed, and then the story's going up. So if you had an empty lot, it'd be assessed at one rate, first floor, second floor, and then on. So
okay. Going to the ballot analysis, it has Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, Expansion A, B, C, and it has Expansion D2. So in looking in that, obviously, Expansion Area A was a resounding no. 82.4% were no out of 100%. But I bring up Zone 2 because that's the pink, correct? The pink area there. It's 1.2% difference. I'm just like 1.2% difference. That's how close it was. If this was an election of candidates, I don't know. I think yours was pretty close. That is a very tight margin. The other one, 3%, 3.4%. But then in 1 and 3, you have 88% and 80%. Very clear. They appreciate everything that you do. And I bring that up because obviously something's missing. Otherwise, you would have had that 88% or 80% yes on all of them. And when I see that, I obviously have to listen to the people who have come to my office, and I shared that with you. I met with you. I've met with a number of people in the audience here as well. My folder on everything is, I've got a huge folder of all my stuff that I've been looking at. Actually, somebody gave me this with their stuff in it. We have to be very thoughtful and intentional with this as we move forward. Don't want to necessarily. We need to address the needs of downtown, but we also need to listen to the business owners and the people that live in this zoning area. And that's my point on that. I see that there are two more. Then we'll go to public comment. And from public comment, then we'll bring it back to council for discussion. Councilman Villapudua.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just two questions that I forgot, and majority of them the Mayor already kind of answered. You mentioned that there was a 76% support, right? So when you say 76, out of how many people was that 76%?
There were 61% of the total ballots that were sent out returned.
Okay. And then my last question is, how many business owners are in the area?
Where's Courtney?
I don't know if you have that.
Yeah, over 400. Thank you.
Okay. And then out of the 400, there was 76% people.
Well, it's not businesses, it's property owners.
Property owners.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I got no further more questions, Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just another point of clarification, because I know we own a lot of different things down here. We don't just have City Hall. But the Weber's Point, ballpark, the arena, does that all fall within this as well?
Well, it's in the district, but the city has private contracts with a contractor to maintain the parks and Weber Point.
Okay, so we're exempt from this.
Those properties don't pay for assessment. Only the city-owned buildings do. So the Weber Point does not pay an assessment cost.
Okay, I guess I'm confused at that. Are you confused with that? Okay, I'm confused. And here's why I'm confused. We're a business in downtown, like their business is in downtown. If we're gonna say, we're gonna vote that they pay for it, I don't understand why we're not paying for it. Obviously, we're fiscal stewards and don't want to spend taxpayer money where we don't want to, but also we want to be fair and equitable. So I guess help me understand that a little bit more, just for my own education. Why we aren't participating in it.
As far as Weber Point and those
Correct.
things?
We have business, we have property downtown that falls within the zone. I'm asking, why aren't we participating in it?
In what way?
May I, Mike?
Hey.
Let me.
Oh, but you do. Your property's.
Well, that's
pay
what
an
I'm
ass-
asking. So,
Yeah, your property's paying assessment, but it's for the building.
Hold on. So somebody over here help me then, City Manager Tim McCarty. So what we're asking the public to pay, we fall within this zone. Are we also paying? And if so, what does that look like?
We are paying at the governmental rate. We pay on all of our buildings, all of the facilities. The green space, so parks such as Weber Point, MLK Plaza is considered green space, and it is not charged an assessment.
Okay, but
So different than private, if you were a private property owner and you owned a vacant lot, you would be paying an assessment on it. Because our interest lies in the development of the private lot.
So the arena, the ballpark,
We absolutely, all the
Civic
parking
Auditorium,
garages.
Those we do. Okay, got it.
Yes.
All right. So I guess I'll just continue to hear the conversation from my colleagues that know what direction we're going, because obviously we understand we need it. I do agree 10 versus 20 years. I don't know. The 20 years thing seems a bit long for me, but understanding that it costs a lot to do, I just wait to hear the rest of what my colleagues have to offer.
And I'd just like to point out, their city has more than 2 pages of properties that were in here. The county has properties. The school district has properties. And actually, there's a Stockton Arena Hotel and Conference Center. There's a number of properties there. But the city, the county, the school district, they're the #1 property owners.
Are those documents?
These are the assessments.
Are they in our packet?
They were in our last packet.
Last packet, okay.
The November packet. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. Okay.
Okay, I guess I should disclose too, I did also meet with Mike, and I've talked with several of the property owners. Just the 10-year versus the 20-year, I'd kind of like to hear Tina's perspective on that and your thoughts.
Well, from an economic development standpoint, I mean, I think the stability is important. I think that service levels are certainly relevant. I do sit on the board of the DSA, and so it is a notice meeting, as Mr. Huber said. So the public is welcome, private, property owners at all times to come and bring forth to the board concerns about service levels. So I guess I see them a little bit separately. If we have service level issues, those are things that can be addressed from a board perspective. From a city perspective and what we're trying to do in our downtown and the support to the businesses and the look, we're also a visitor destination in the downtown. So all of those reasons, the cleanliness to me is one of the most important things. The ambassador program, having an additional presence for people to get escorted walks to their cars, those are all valuable in a downtown and helps with the vibrancy of our downtown.
Okay, moving on to public comment then.
Matthew Amen, please.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Madam Mayor, Council. My name is Matthew Amen, owner of Huddle Co-work in downtown Stockton. I have been an advocate for downtown for the past 10 years. What can I say, right? I spent the past 10 years selling downtown Stockton to my neighbors. And one of those deciding factors has been the services that downtown Stockton provides. One of the biggest deterrent of downtown I've learned in this past 10 years is that people don't find downtown clean or safe. I was lucky enough to join the board when we were voting in a new executive director for the Downtown Stockton Alliance 10 years ago. And when we made that courageous choice, one of the first programs that Mike initiated was Clean and Safe, making sure that downtown was clean and making sure it was safe for families across the board. And he passed that test with flying colors. During that time, I was living in downtown Stockton. I was doing business in downtown Stockton. So I got to see the work that they were doing every single day. So the work that they were doing in this core, because I got to see that, a little bit spoiled because of that, but I also understand the folks that don't know what they don't know, right? To be told or to be the suggestion of paying higher taxes for a service you don't see on a daily basis. I will admit, when we were talking about this at the table, I actually mentioned we should probably do a downtown Stockton commercial, right? About like what services that the Alliance provides, because this is going to go to new ears and new eyes, and they're going to see this pamphlet and be like, heck no, I don't want to do this because I'm fine. I'll sweep my own driveway, right? But I can continue to be an advocate for downtown Stockton. I've been doing it for the past 10 years. Yes, a 10-year assessment is great, but there's been so much mobility and so much revitalization that's happened, and that's due to the support of the Downtown Stockton Alliance. So as someone who's served on the board for the past 8 years now, 10 years, I see the wisdom in continuing this for 20 years rather than 10, especially if something's going good. Consistency is key. Because I'm someone who's seen the growth in the past 10 years, I want to continue to see that going forward. So I'm for this. I want to continue to see the growth of downtown Stockton, and we can't do that without the Downtown Stockton Alliance. Thank you.
Abdul Yassini.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and the Council. I think last time when we were here, I think it was, killed, because anonymously, thanks all the Council and the Mayor they stood with the business owners. Mr. Uber, he spoke about that 70 or 76% people, the business owners are for it. So those are the government businesses. And, you know, they're not paying from their pockets. Almost 90 plus people are opposite. They're paying from their pockets. This is going to be like a huge HOA on us, and we will not be able to pay it. We are struggling. All the businesses are struggling, and especially in our area, they're going to be a bridge. They're going to be bringing a bridge, so businesses will be slow. Right now, the rate per square feet is going 40 to 50 cents per square feet rent, and we are struggling to find to bring tenants. Most of our businesses are empty, and we're trying hard to bring people. So if you put this one on us, believe me, we will have no option just to give you guys the key, our businesses, and close our businesses. It's going to be tough, hella tough. I was thinking, Mr. Uber, he's not paying from his pocket, so I'm going to be paying this. If he wants to clean it, find another ways. We love to work with you. Let's go to a federal government and ask them, hey, we need to clean our streets. Just pay us. But we, poor people, cannot pay for it. And once again, I will really ask your support for this. Please stand with Stocktonians, not with the establishment. Thank you.
Mark Dennehy. Mark Dennehy.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. I was here October 14th, and I am against what we're doing here tonight. And in contrast to what Ms. McCarty said about people being properly notified about today's hearing, in my case, that was absolutely not true. I got a phone call laying on my back in the mud, trying to repair wiring under a trailer a couple hours ago. I went home, cleaned up a little bit, and wanted to come here. I was not notified of this meeting, and I was not notified of a meeting, I guess, on December 2nd or in December. So I don't know why I wasn't notified, and I don't know if being vocal had anything to do with it. The other thing I'd like to point out is Mr. Huber is presenting this as a public participation thing where everybody votes and it's fair and equal. The truth is that we're overwhelmed by government-owned buildings in this. I mean, it's really, I didn't even learn until October 14th when I was here. I was sure it was just going to be voted down because what person would vote for this? What business would vote for this? We know what we know. And we understand the cost of things and the weight that costs that we bear. This is something that Mr. Huber can't understand because the money is coming from us. I have in my possession an email where Mr. Huber has addressed Mr. Souza and is saying that he was instructed by the City Council at that meeting, at that last meeting, to remove sections A and B. Tonight, I ask the City Council to please remove those sections as was planned before. Thank you.
Mahala Burns.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. My name is Mahala Burns. I am with Burns Group, and I've been working downtown for over 30 years. So I started working a year or two before the Downtown Alliance was formed, and it was wild and woolly in those days. It was, you couldn't give buildings away, you couldn't attract tenants. The thought of, doing business in downtown, it was a pipe dream at that time. It was dangerous. There were pockets of, it was block after block after block of vacant, blighted buildings. So over the years, you know, back 29 years ago, a group of property owners decided to get together and assess themselves good money to create this district. And it's never easy to spend money that you don't have to, especially on property taxes. But over the years, time and time again, they've agreed that, yes, it's painful, but look what the difference we've been able to make in the downtown. And I've seen what I've been on the board of the Downtown Alliance for years, and I see what improvements it has made, both clean and safe, cleaning the sidewalks, pressure washing, removing graffiti, providing events that people want to come to, doing history tours, marketing for us. You know, we don't get much in the way of help from the city. So the property owners are kind of on their own, and the Downtown Alliance has been the backbone of the property owners for many years, to the point where property owners, we've gotten a lot of new property owners in the last couple of years, and new things have been able to happen that 30 years ago you would have never expected to have K through 12 students in the downtown. We have over 2,000 students down there. You never would have thought that we were going to have market rate loft apartments in the downtown. We now have almost 100 loft apartments and market rate apartments in the downtown. That's because people are starting to feel safe to spend the night there, to walk to work, to walk to the garages. And it's really, a lot of it is to the benefit of the Downtown Stockton Alliance. And I hope that you can support another 20 years for the Alliance. Thank you.
Mary Elizabeth?
Mary Elizabeth, I live in Midtown. I don't live in downtown, but I am downtown walking frequently. In the plan there, it discussed the basic city service levels. So these funds here are to be added to basic city services, but it wasn't really disclosed what those basic city services were. And I know from, so another question then that follows is clarify the process to connect the Ask Stockton notices with the downtown CID. Because when I put in graffiti that I see when I'm walking downtown, they don't get cleaned up any faster than the graffiti that I put in my neighborhood. And so I just, I'm just wondering, like what kind of service is that? Another thing, in terms of this power washing, there's some really dirty sidewalks, with people that have thrown their gum out, and it looks bad, and maybe the gum stayed there too long and it couldn't come off, because whatever. But and I know Rotary was out there, and I believe you were as well, cleaning up some of that with some new materials. And so, I think that, some more campaigns about littering, would be of benefit. And I'm surprised that there's 170 garbage cans there. And I know that in the city of Stockton contract with Republic Services, there's only like 55 or something, of garbage cans around the city that they pick up. So I think that's something that we ought to be looking at a little bit more. And then finally, the rates for multi-unit housing is the same as commercial, when some of our multi-unit housing is a nonprofit. And so, they should be getting, charged for the nonprofit, even if they have multi. And the same for the residential. We have some commercial owned residential rental units, and they should be paying the commercial, absent landlord kind of price rather than, you know, somebody living in the home that they own. And so I think that those rates could be adjusted to, you know, help out our local residents. Thank you.
Doug Rishwain.
Good evening, members of the council and Mayor Fugazi. My name is Doug Rishwain. I'm here to speak in opposition to approving the proposed boundary. I would like to see the Fremont Street corridor excluded. I have no opposition to the rest of whatever is being asked. If the Downtown Alliance wants to renew their existing boundary, that's what I suggest that the council do tonight. We had 82% of the vote on Fremont Street vote against being brought into the boundary. I think that was a wonderful evening of civic engagement with so many people showing up, business owners, property owners, down-to-earth people, not governmental institutions that own major pieces of real estate in downtown Stockton and can overwhelm the vote. And the council voted unanimously on October 14th in support of our position. Tonight, I feel like we're here back fighting for the same thing we were already here for on October 14th. I saw a video clip from the December 8th hearing where after discussion, Mayor Fugazi instructed staff to come back with a version of the map that looks like this with A and B on it, not what was attached to the agenda. The agenda tonight had the original one from October 14th. And the agenda says that it is recommended that the council adopt a resolution to approve the formation of the Downtown Community Improvement District with a benefit zone designated Zone 1, the boundary of which is shown in the boundary map, Exhibit 1 to the resolution attached to the agenda. The resolution and the boundary attached to the agenda is what we were here on October 14th, not what Mayor Fugazi instructed staff. This exhibit is not in the agenda. That's why everybody's confused. We thought we already did this. We thought that the city council was unanimously in favor of keeping Fremont Street out. So people are confused. That's why people are showing up again tonight. And the messaging that's been put out is confusing. And at this hearing, there's no legal description that defines any new boundary consistent with this A and B to be excluded. In October 14th, there was a legal description, an actual legal description you would see for property that defined the boundary.
Thank you, Mr. Rishwain.
Natalie Ron.
Okay, good evening, council. My name is Natalie Ron. I've got to say, I too was very surprised about this hearing tonight because I learned of it for the first time late last week, Thursday or Friday. So we definitely did not receive any notice in the mail, let alone 45 days notice. So I tried to put together my comment. I drafted something up for you that I intended to mail, but I'll give that to you tonight so you have that for your records. But I've got to also reiterate the public hearing that was held on October 14th was held and concluded on that date. And I understand there was a process that the council went through to try to reopen it. That does not comply with the government code. The government code requires that property owners be given 45 days notice of this public hearing, and only after the public hearing do the ballots get tabulated. So the hearing gets closed, then the ballots get tabulated. And that's significant because property owners have the right to amend, withdraw, or change their vote up to and including the conclusion of the public hearing. So by reopening it, nobody has that opportunity to change or modify their vote as they're required to under the government code. They're also entitled to 45 days notice. That should be that should also consist of a ballot. The notice and the ballot typically, and as required by law, get mailed together. That didn't happen for this reopened public hearing. So the property owners were not lawfully notified of this meeting. It's questionable whether they were lawfully notified of the first meeting. As I raised at the October 14th hearing, there was not a map provided with the ballots, and they were not advised where we could find the management plan. And so those are two things that are required under the Streets and Highways Code to be provided along with the ballot so that people know what to look for and where to find it. That wasn't provided with the first notice. It definitely was not required with this purported notice that conceivably went out or is alleged to have gone out for this hearing tonight. There were issues with the tabulation and the monitoring of the tabulation that was conducted. No persons of the public were allowed to monitor the actual tabulation. We monitored the opening of the ballots, but not the tabulation itself. And so the 76% that is included is not 76% of the property owners. It's who owns the biggest land, who has the biggest vote. That's what made up the 76%. There's also illegalities with the benefit zone. So the Constitution requires that the benefits provided be provided in proportion to the benefits received. And so by making everyone in one zone and then providing all of the same benefits to everybody does not comply with the Constitution.
Thank you, Ms. Ron.
Thank you. Can I give this to you?
Pat Barrett.
Great question. Why 20, not 10? My thought, 5. Do a pilot program, an accountability program, okay? Because I'm going to say this. First of all, you addressed mail as junk mail. I get lots of junk mail, and everybody's complaining why they didn't get it. Well, I don't know why you're going to consider your self-mailers junk mail, okay? Number one. Number two, Chinese Alley. You know, we tried to rent the empty buildings under Franco for months, never got responses, finally got responses. The responses disappeared. It dwindled away. Chinese Alley is still empty. I'm like, why don't they do something? This would be great. They even have a farmer's market down there. Something would be wonderful. I lived in Hawaii for 10 years. I lived in the Bay Area for all my life. We always had farm markets in Chinatown. We always had that stuff, so I don't understand it. I want to say this. As much as I'm downtown at different times of the day in the evening, I never see ambassadors and I never see garbage collectors, okay? I still sweat when I go out at night. I'm in the county building. I'm trying to figure out, am I okay to walk down this street? I am not talking about my homeless or my unhoused because they don't bother me at all. I'm talking about people that know we're coming out of a county building after a meeting. So that one upsets me. I don't know where these people are. I've seen a couple of cars one time on Miracle Mile. Doesn't do me any good. Don't go to Miracle Mile. Too expensive. My thing is this. Your guys are paying for a service, don't know where the service is. I'm still looking, I was coming up the steps of City Hall today, and there's moss growing in between the steps. And I'm like, water power is this, right? I'm like, so, and then you guys are telling me these are the services that you offer. A friend of mine has been trying to rent a building on Acacia across the street from Eden Park for years. B, on Hunter Street across the street from Eden Park. C, one down the street from Eden Park. 2 blocks from Eden Park. 3, I mean, these landlords are using this for a tax write-off. It's a loss of income. They are not renting these buildings. My problem going downtown, Who wants to see these boarded up windows and these walls and these unpainted boards and then these unpainted walls? You got who's taking care of the blight? The problem is that when you guys put a tax on these guys that have blight and empty lots, they sell it and they never pay it. Is this organization going to make sure that they're paid before they sell? Are you going to put a lien on these buildings before these owners sell it and get your money? Because we need some kind of control, accountability for these owners that are screwing up our downtown area. And that county building, state building, RTD building, and all the, city and county buildings. Yeah, no.
Philip Merlo.
Hi, folks. Can I go? Sweet. Awesome. Philip Merlo here, and I'm the Executive Director of the San Joaquin County Historical Museum. I'm also on the Cultural Heritage Board, and my family has owned property in downtown for, well, a lot longer than I've been alive. And the museum recently acquired property in the DSA boundaries, the Crest Building. We plan on building a large cultural center and museum there on Sutter and Weber. And I think that the core message that I have to say is I think that the Downtown Stockton Alliance has been extremely valuable to downtown for a long time. I do think that downtown has a lot of structural problems that have inhibited the DSA's work over the past 10 to 15 years. And that's not necessarily the DSA's fault so much as the overall structural economy problems of Stockton. I do think that as a business manager, not an owner, we're a nonprofit, who's recently acquired property in the district, it would be a real gut punch to our own plans if downtown suddenly didn't have a marketing entity. And I think that the value of having some sort of agency or entity that's working to advocate for and lobby for downtown is important. That said, I think that it's very rightful to question the logic of why the Zone A especially was included. If it was clear from the get-go, close the door. Thank you. Yeah, if it was clear from the get-go that Zone A was not necessarily in favor of joining the district. And from what I've understood, it was actually initiated by the city, not necessarily by the DSA, to include Zone A. And so I think that everybody that's in downtown, everybody that I know that's in downtown proper, really loves the DSA. And I would really hope that the city vote on a resolution to reauthorize the district. And if that means having to take out Zone A to make this a democratically fair process, because obviously the property owners, the landowners there, the businesses don't want that, I think that that's what we need to do. And we need to be problem-solving oriented and not unfair to property owners and business owners in downtown who don't want to be a part of this. But simultaneous to that, we need to do something to make sure that downtown is marketed. Thank you.
Tony Yadon. Tony Yadon.
Thank you. Greetings, Mayor, Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Tony Yaden. I am the CEO of Main Street Youth and Family Services. We own 2 properties in downtown. We own the Courthouse Plaza at San Joaquin and Main Street, and we own the Rule Building at 521 East Main Street. And combined, those are over 100,000 square feet. And so we are heavily invested in downtown. And so I'm here to speak in support of the Downtown Alliance, and I'm here to speak on behalf of our 100+ employees, our tenants that number more than 12, our thousands of customers that come to visit us every day, and just say, please, please, please support the Downtown Alliance. I understand that there are representatives here from Area A and B that may not want to be part of that, and that's fine, but for us, this is a major part of why we're here. We invested in downtown 6 years ago, and one of the first people I met when I came to look at the building that we now operate from was Mike Huber. He was there. We weren't even property owners yet, but he was there to meet me, to welcome me to downtown, and since then, We have been big fans of the Downtown Alliance. I can call them in the middle of the night when we have a broken window and someone is in our building, and they will be there. I can call them during the day when we have someone who is a safety problem, and they will be there. I receive notice by mail, and so I can speak to that. Also, I just want to just imagine today if you were to vote no on this item and the DSA were to be in jeopardy of going away. One of the first things I would do is go back to my office tomorrow and wonder, what in the world am I going to do? What are we going to do without the Downtown Alliance? There's a saying that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And I would say that tonight, this is an item that involves vision. We need the Downtown Alliance. We need them here for another 20 years. So I'm asking the council to, if someone doesn't want to be part of that, that's fine. But I'm asking the council, please, show us your vision for downtown and support the Downtown Alliance. Thank you.
Denny Cochran.
Good evening, Council. Glad to see Ralph came in, didn't he? Yeah. Been around for a while. But I wanted to talk about the Downtown Alliance. I was around when they were formed in 1997. And if anybody here could remember, and Ralph probably does, what was the main reason why they were created? They started out with a $500,000 tax assessment. It was new at the time. Number one issue was graffiti removal. So all of a sudden, they jumped into the graffiti removal business, which elbowed out the state enterprise zone program and caused a whole bunch of problems. Now, I think Huber's a real nice guy, but facts are facts. All of us here have to obey the law. I mean, basically, let's talk about the DMV. If you're driving around, you pay your fees. Those little carts that you see driving around, I would be really excited about Jason Lee, and I love the guy. We need a voice for private representative, okay? If you aren't paying your DMV fees, you get in trouble. But for some reason, all those little carts that you see zipping around, little golf carts, maybe half a dozen, maybe a dozen. I've looked, no signals, no identification, no numbers, no licenses. The first time one of those little carts run into somebody and get into an accident, I do believe the city will lose in a lawsuit. So again, I would say the Downtown Alliance, there's a place for them, but when you look at the way that they came into the picture, they ruined my career. I was part of the State Enterprise Zone Award. That was the winning idea. So all of a sudden, here you have a program for 25 years that was gutted right out of the gate. So I'm not going to take up a lot of time tonight. The main thing I wanted to do is to say I have a huge amount of thanks that I have a councilman, Jason Lee, who's not afraid. Thank you.
Jacob Benguerel.
My name's Jacob Benguerel, and I have owned property downtown for 17 years. When I came down here, it was a mess. Well, let me just clarify. I currently own 3 separate businesses. 3 separate businesses. I have supported the city. I have fought the city. Like, any search on the internet will show how many times I've been on the news complaining. But if the DSA goes away, it will be a death blow to downtown. When I came down here for 17 years ago, you could hardly walk around. It was embarrassing to bring clients down here. Mahala helped me buy my first building. I now own 2 buildings. I even went as far as to open a restaurant. I clean graffiti myself. I paint the graffiti. I chase people off my block who are up to no good. When I owned the restaurant for 5 years, I defended downtown from all the other people from outside of downtown who said I would never come down here. To the people that don't want to be a part of it, fine, keep them out of it. We're fine, but don't take it away from us. The cost of cleaning up the vandalism every year alone not just graffiti, people stealing from us, people damaging our buildings, would be much more than the cost that we pay to the DSA every year. I always describe it to the police as it's death by 1,000 cuts down here, and the only people that are helping us are the DSA. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but the police department doesn't help. I called about somebody pulling a knife on me. 3 hours later, they called and said, oh, we can't find them. I have filed countless code enforcement complaints. Nothing happens. The DSA is the only one who helps. And just to be clear, when they say, well, there's still graffiti on the buildings, that's because the DSA can't go do anything to a privately owned building. So they can clean up the poles on the street, they can clean up the boxes, but they can't go and touch somebody else's building and paint somebody else's building. So if you see graffiti, that's why, and that's why I file these code enforcement complaints. That's what the city's about, and that's why I'm saying I don't trust the city. Let private people do it. Post-COVID, this has gone downhill, and like I said, this is the worst I've ever seen it, and if you take it away from us, I don't know that I would stay downtown. I think I would sell my buildings, take my businesses elsewhere, take them to Manteca, take them to Modesto, but with the lack of support downtown, we need the DSA. That's all I've got.
Diana Butner with an approved ADA accommodation and 1 extra minute.
Okay, let's look at, for me, I'm not a city dweller, but what I see is, Jason brought up the point of some of this property being owned by the city, and the city is assessed for that. The public building owners are the people. We are taxed for that. So it's important for all of the folks that live in Stockton to understand that those taxes are something we pay. There's a lot of people that don't understand how the tax system works. And the general fund is something that for years people have talked about auditing and doing. You can't audit it. It's a general fund. It has to be something different. So there are issues with that, and I won't go into all of that tonight, but the bottom line is that there are people who, when they're assessed those taxes in businesses, they pass that on to the public. So all of these things, especially when you have somebody with homes that has had a fixed income or whatever they're living on, and all of a sudden you have more taxes, that's something we all have to consider. And our cost of living is rising exponentially, and people are struggling, and I understand the want for these things to be in place, but that's what private companies are for. Why is the city and why are the people paying for this? That I have a hard time with. So that's some food for thought. We need to start thinking about how our money is spent. So.
Michael Sousa.
Council members and Mayor, I am opposed to inclusion of Section A into the Downtown Alliance. I'm not really sure what alliance means, because by definition it means that you become part of something by joining and agreeing together. We were never involved in the process originally to be even included, and our Vice Mayor Lee was asking about that. We never were included. Yes, we saw Mr. Huber one time. That was it. And then next thing you know, we were coming down here to vote on a tax that was going to be increased 5% a year for 20 years. And so we kind of organized the individuals on Fremont Street, the property owners. So we're trying here to defeat that specific purpose. We were not included in the original discussion about being included. And then when I went and I got the notice, probably about a week and a half ago, I contacted Mr. Huber. And he said, well, I thought somebody would be getting a hold of me when we got the notice. Well, a lot of people didn't get the notice. Let me tell you that for sure. That's a fact. Yes. And then when I asked him, He goes, well, just here, I'll send you a link, and Mayor Fangaza will be holding something up from the council meeting that will show you that's the properties that will be excluded. And Group A, or Section A, was going to be excluded. And at that time, I thought, well, maybe it's okay, because we've already voted on this, and then it would be final. But apparently not, because the legal boundaries have not been identified in the original document, and the original document in terms of map is presented in the agenda tonight. So as a property owner and the individual property owners that I see here from Fremont Street, we do not want to be included. And we were not really notified, and we were not included in any of the process to be included. So thank you, council members.
Cynthia Gale Boyd.
First of all, I'm not going to wait until public comments to say it. Thank God I'm still alive in this dangerous ass city. Oh my God, just as we met, how many been killed? Remember something like that? The sidewalks in Stockton, California roll up somewhere about 6 o'clock. There ain't a thing to do downtown unless there's a concert that might stray through or something like that. So the property owners seem like they're paying for daytime service. I don't know what makes it someplace special at nighttime. It's a dangerous place to be in the daytime. Now, I don't know where the map is drawn, but my question is, would it encompass that off-ramp from the crosstown freeway that brings you down on El Dorado? Is that a part of this downtown Stockton Alliance District? Okay, all right, thank God it ain't. At either rate, because my comment would be about the people that are standing there on that off-ramp creating hazardous conditions. Who wants to drive into beautiful downtown Stockton and that's the first thing you see? And it's right outside of the Stockton Police Department. Maybe you ought to move the boundary on over there to the Stockton Police Department off-ramp. Like I said before, are you waiting for somebody to get hit, hurt, or killed on that off-ramp so that you can put the names up on a street sign? Need something to do downtown after 6 o'clock. There's nothing to do in downtown Stockton. So I don't know what makes it so great. So I think that the property owners is only paying for half-time service.
That concludes public comment for this item.
Thank you. So before I close the public hearing, I have a specific question for the city attorney. Ms. Ron brought up several different concerns regarding notice, ballot, management plan. How does that affect this? Because I know that's one of the reasons why we waited on the city attorney's office as to whether we should proceed with this or not.
So the issue of reconsideration of a previously concluded or closed public hearing is not contemplated under the code. So this action is not without risk to the body with respect to the map that is potentially subject to approval. However, there's also no clear, because it's not contemplated, there's also no clear obligation to reballot. So it is in part a risk assessment on your body's behalf, and I know that staff has taken steps to mitigate that risk, including providing notice as addressed in the staff report to the affected owners.
So the following question to that is, then this council, they can make amendments or changes to what has been presented in the original staff report, because that's what we're talking about, because this is the map that people are wanting me to hold up, where we then came back and said we wanted to remove those potentially. You know, public hearing's still open. We haven't had discussion, but this council can make those changes from the dais, or we can continue it after we've made some input to staff to make those changes, or then the whole process has to start over. Those are the three options that we have.
Correct. As Director McCarty explained at the beginning of the presentation, your options are outlined on 3 of 5 of your staff report, and that does include changing the boundaries. At the conclusion of the public hearing, the City Council does have the option to reduce the assessment.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, City Attorney, what did you say on page 5 of what part?
So it's 265 of your overall packet, but it's 3 of 5 of this specific staff report.
Can you give me the title, because I have so much
Oh,
here.
sorry. Yes, it's agenda item 15.1 in your overall packet. I'm looking at 265, and it's 3 of 5 of your staff report.
I'm sorry.
No
one second. Okay.
So go to the legislative text,
That's, okay.
and then go to page 3, start on page 3 of 5.
Got it. Okay. My question was, thank you, Mayor. My question was similar to the mayor's question. I guess I need it in layman terms. Is there any legal prohibition on us proceeding on what we're talking about tonight? I thought I heard you say no, but it was so much that I got distracted.
We have not identified a prohibition from your continuing. There's just risk that we were making you aware of,
Okay, so can you
because it's
just-
not contemplated under the code. What you've done is you had a public hearing. That public hearing was closed, and then you made a motion to reconsider that public hearing. That process is not expressly considered under either the Stockton Municipal Code or the Streets and Highways Code. Given the ambiguity of your circumstances, I cannot say that the action is wholly without risk, but that our office has identified no prohibitions from continuing with any of the 3 actions outlined on that page 3 of 5.
And are there any other city costs that come with extending or going through this process again? I guess that's for the city management team.
The cost to the city, it's not really a cost to the city, it's a cost to the DSA, as the DSA, using their finances, has to pay for the process, which was roughly $60,000. So they would need to spend that out of their funding again, should this process be restarted. The only other thing I would say beyond the cost is a timing issue in terms of this process has very specific timing requirements. I could ask the consultant to give you specifics, but in general, there are very specific noticing requirements, and we would need to be back to council to complete this entire process no later than July, because the new assessment, however adopted, needs to be to the tax assessor in August to be effective for January 1 of 27, which would be the day that this new assessment would begin.
Thank you. And then one last question. Obviously, there was the question around 10 years versus 20 years, and it costing a certain amount of money in order to do it again if we were to approve the 10-year. What is that amount of cost? I guess that may be a question for Mr. Huber, or do we know?
That would be roughly the same amount. 10 years from now, it might cost you more, but it's the cost of hiring a consultant to do the engineer's report, to do the full analysis of the financial formulas, and to create the business, the plan, and all the documents required to set this district in motion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I will close the public hearing and bring it back to council for discussion. Councilman Blower?
So I feel in hearing from the different people that have gotten up to speak, it sounds like the people that were in the original district really like the DSA and really see the value. I think we as a council also can see that there was value from the DSA that's been there, or else we wouldn't have brought this back. I'm getting a sneaking feeling that the people in Area A, the Fremont area, I get the feeling you guys don't want to be in it. So, I think we got that message loud and clear the last time we talked about this in October, and I think that's why the vote went the way that it did. It does sound like we have an opportunity for a good compromise here, where we can maintain the DSA in the area that it started. Again, we had a lot of people, some property owners talking about selling their buildings if this thing goes away. So I definitely see that value there. But again, I think another factor with this is I don't think it was really the DSA that had the idea to expand the territory. So for them to end up folding because of something that, I don't think was necessarily their idea in the first place. And when we do have a remedy where we can fix this. Now, one thing I'm curious, have we heard from people from the B? I mean, we definitely heard from A. Have we heard from, so some of you are from B as well.
Excuse me, the public hearing's closed, so
Yeah.
I'll have to reopen it if you want to ask a question.
No, I'm just
Okay.
curious if,
Okay.
I think that the solution to this is, and I think reading in here, we have to like show that there's not a benefit for these people. How, can you, I mean, I think that's something that clearly the people that have shown up from those areas don't see that, and I think the voting in those areas wasn't real strong. So I think probably the solution to this thing is that we go ahead, approve the DSA, but we remove A and B from that. So to do that, do I just need to make a motion? Do we want more discussion?
Well, I have lights up, so.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Councilmember Villapudua.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the community for coming out. Knowing I'm the council member for the district, so you know, I'm on the fence on this, but you know, I'm hearing one side, hearing another. I've seen as well the effect at Wilson Way not being cleaned up and seeing where it's at. It hurts. Cleanup are very huge for me, and it should be all as well for my colleagues, right? And it seems like they've been doing a good job throughout this time. The 20-year thing kind of throws me off, and obviously the rates is not huge, but removing them, I could just imagine how our community would be. And I have a big trouble accepting that and just hearing it, because you know, it's not hide behind the bushes. I mean, District 5, District 6, and all these, we are the hardest districts. You know, a lot of our homeless are there, a lot of the cleanups are there, and I feel like, you know, why are you going to remove something if it's working? And removing it, I don't know what's going to happen. But I believe, I like what my colleague was saying, removing A and B would be great. And I would be supportive of that option. But like I said, I want to hear my colleagues and where they stand and where they're going. So thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So my office is actually in the downtown area, and I just want to just talk about, just very briefly, this week we had a meeting, the city manager and I did, with FIFA about them coming to downtown potentially, and us being able to bring a world-class organization to help drive our economy, to help bring more opportunity for our community, kids, families, and to help, more importantly, drive up our tax base, because as a city, we need to do that in order to be able to do more with the development of our city, create jobs and all that. But with that said, when I think about this decision, I'm thinking about the future of when we are bringing people like that to our city, when we're bringing business like that to our city, what are they looking for? What type of partnerships are they looking for? I am amenable to, well, first I want to say, as having a business downtown, I do see the value of having the downtown Stockton group there. And they have been very helpful. Me and Councilman Padilla, somebody ran out of gas or a battery died or something. It was late at night. We were in the dark, and they were there to help us. So that's just my own experience. But I agree with everything said. That said, without getting into the weeds of whether people were noticed, not noticed, or whatever, it's obvious that the group in Section A and Section B are not interested in being a part of this, and I'm very much against forcing people to be a part of something that they don't want to be a part of. That said, I'm amenable to what my colleague here to the left said. The other thing I just want to highlight too is I don't think we need to bash our police department, our code enforcement officers. They work extremely hard every single day. I don't think we need to bash them to lift up another program. And so I did want to say that for the record. Thank you.
Councilmember Enriquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'll just a quick comment. I just want to, for the record, knows that I agree with Councilmember Blauer in terms of the proposed motion, particularly for Section A, Zone A. I want to thank those that came out. That's actually, that little sliver is actually in my district, from north of West Fremont. Once you hit Edison, that intersection on the north side of West Fremont is in my district. So I hear loud and clear of my constituents in that zone in particular. But I just want to put that out for the record that, again, this is also a District 4 issue, and I know with alignment with the Miracle Mile, I agree with Councilmember Blauer's motion. Thank you.
Okay, so I too have a few comments. I don't know if Jacob is still in here, but it really concerned me when he said it's the worst he's ever seen for the downtown, because it's kind of it's a counterpoint to why we're here, which is what DSA does. I will say that looking at the current map, not the proposed map for 2027, area zone 1 and zone 3 overwhelmingly were in favor, 80% and 88%. There's a little C section that was at 100%, and I think that's because there's only like 3 property owners, and we might be all less. But I bring that up because here's the concern, and I brought it up last time. Well, first of all, if you look at the assessment, even in the downturn years, and Councilman Blauer, you can attest to this, property taxes went down, correct? So we don't know if there's a recession that's looming in the next 20 years, even the next 10 years, but these go up substantially over the lifetime of this agreement. That causes me pause. Also, again, for those people that are actually living in actual homes, I'm not talking about the apartment buildings, but actual houses there, I would just like to propose either we take out altogether Zone 2, who it was 50.6 to 49.4, or they get a flat rate for their residential house, which we would have to then come up with that flat rate. I don't want to say the city should pay for it, because as Ms. Buettner pointed out, that would then be the taxpayer. That would be all of us paying for it, for that as well. And I am not opposed. Obviously, I want A out for sure. B was 3% off, but I am concerned also with what Ms. Ron brought up, but I also know Downtown Stockton Alliance brought up their concerns and possible motions to take from here should we not get this done. So those are my comments. Councilwoman Padilla hasn't spoke yet, so Councilwoman Padilla.
Thank you, Mayor. And going into this, I thought I had my mind made up. For me, especially because I don't, my district isn't near downtown. So I am not privy to things and businesses that occur around there. But what I do have a concern is with regards to the assessments. Yes, we want businesses to come here, but then again, we don't want them to be overtaxed, and we don't want that to be an issue as to why they're not coming here. I understand the need for, needing our downtown to be clean and trash. And I really have great success with the city services, and I don't know I don't know why, but with regards to graffiti, it gets cleaned up quickly. We have contracts with other services that, get taken care of. So, outside of that, high assessments, I appreciate the city services that we have. And then two, I just have a concern with really not knowing the risk with the code, that was brought up. And, we don't want to be, go into, litigation. I would just feel more comfortable of really knowing, are we in the clear or, but it just seems like that is an unknown position. So I like the fact that Councilmember Blauer brought up removing A and B, but then again, I do have concerns with regards to the assessments, especially to the residents, because whether it be trash, they have Republic Waste Management, or we have our city services. So outside of that, as a resident, I don't see what else they are getting, because they're, definitely not using marketing or more business. So I'm confused, to be honest with you.
Okay, Councilman Blauer?
One thing I would point out as far as a benefit I can see is if you clean up that area, it is going to improve property values. So there is, I think, a benefit to homeowners. If it'd be appropriate now, if everybody's had a chance to speak, I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the formation of the Downtown Stockton Community Improvement District, removing sections A and B.
I'll second.
What's that?
I'll second the motion.
Also, if I just leave it, does it just default to the 20-year?
You'd have to say you want.
And I'd like the 20-year option.
Mayor, if I may.
Huh?
If I may.
Yes.
So just a point of clarification, as mentioned in the staff report, while you were perfectly able to modify the district boundaries, the resolution does require findings to support inclusion, and therefore we also recommend that findings be made for the exclusion, and that would be a finding that there is no benefit or from the proposed improvements, maintenance, or activities in the zones to be excluded. So provided you find in the record information to that effect, you may proceed, but I would appreciate if that was included in the motion itself.
I would say the vote, would that be, that area I think overwhelmingly was against it. I think too, the fact that things were brought up with what's going to happen with all the construction with I-5.
Are those acceptable findings?
Yes, I believe what I heard was that there, so with respect to the vote being reflective of perhaps that the property owners are of the opinion that they are not receiving a benefit, and then also that there's a Caltrans project that may also limit benefit. I just wanted to confirm with your second that that was consistent as well.
And no changes on residential or any of the factors, you're doing straight?
Yeah.
20 years, just removing A and B.
Mhm.
That's the motion. We had a motion by Councilman Blauer and a second by Vice Mayor Lee. Please vote. Motion passes 4-3. So there's no A in it anymore.
Or B.
Or B, but. Okay, so our meeting is not over, so if you wish to have a conversation, please step outside for your conversation. Yeah, if you're going to have conversation, there. We'll wait till everybody gets outside.
Yeah. He was an A, they just wanted out.
Can you close the door, please? Thank you. Okay, so now we are moving on to the consent agenda. I know we have public public comment on the consent agenda.
For item 12.2, Mary Elizabeth? I'm sorry, 12.1.
Well, thank you. This year, I chose not to review this in great detail because I have reviewed this in great detail for several years, and it has made no difference. The Nexus study that has been promised for years and years still is not complete. No itsy-bitsy bit of it has been released for people to consider or talk about in public. What has been done with those draft Nexus reports are unknown. And I know for sure that developers that haven't had even an inflation increase, no inflation increases for 15 years. You know, it is just a horrible state that we're in, that we are allowing this development to go on and essentially not paying their fair share. Because one, you have the kickback that is only good for the next 9 years, 9.5 years, right, as that is phasing down. But nevertheless, all of the improvements that were to have development pay their fair share has been on the backs of the people of Stockton, because these facility fees are not adequate to pay for the services that are necessary. Thank you.
For item 12.7, Mary Elizabeth.
So this is the tobacco grant, and I'm really thrilled that we've got near $1 million to do this extra enforcement. I brought up some concerns regarding the tasks that were outlined in the legislative. So I submitted comments earlier in the day. Tasks such as task force coordination among local retailer education and diversion, education for enforcement officers. Those items were specifically excluded from the grant reimbursable list. The grant was for 3 tasks: decoy enforcement, shoulder tap enforcement, and undercover. And I submitted through a PRA the application that was provided to DOJ, which they responded to with approving of the overtime funds, and the list of decoys, the 200 decoys that were referenced in the application. So I provided those as attachments. Another great concern that I had was the use of police officers' relatives for the decoy operations. And that just seems to me like a little bit, like better ways, better, more open, and clear, no coercion possibly, you're coming with me, And so I just provided you a link down there with how Fresno does their decoy operations. The county does their decoy operations with volunteers, and they have a small stipend, but I thought that the Fresno program was an exemplar, which I put that link down there in that. The last thing on that is that was for 175 tobacco retailers. And those were currently the city of Stockton regulates all tobacco retailers, and that's what the 175 are. And so I'd like to see that continue. And I provided statewide data there to show that every type of tobacco retailer sells to minors, even drugstores. Thank you.
That concludes public comment for consent.
Okay. Council, would you like any items to be pulled?
12.5.
Okay. And I will pull 12.7. So we will start with 12.5, adopt a resolution to allocate funding from
Mayor,
the...
we need to do.
Oh,
approve
sorry.
the-
The rest of the items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
I'll make a
Move
motion
to-
to approve the remaining items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, so 12.5, adopt a resolution to allocate funding from the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program to eligible organizations for existing rapid rehousing, rental assistance, and/or landlord incentive programs and child care vouchers that prevent homelessness.
Thank you, Mayor. And even though this is a grant, we still have the responsibility to, make fiscal decisions on even money that is given to us. So just for clarity, these are not services that the city provides nor has staff to provide these services. So we're actually funding a third-party organization and relying on them and their existing pipelines. So that means that families who are not already connected to them, how are we monitoring, hold on, sorry. So they're using families that are connected to their pipeline. And I know that in our school districts and in our neighborhoods, we have individuals that suffer from these inequities. My question would be, what kind of proactive strategies or outreach would these entities be doing to reach more families?
Councilmember, I'm going to ask, we have CEO and representation from both of the organizations, and I think they could speak to their outreach better than I. What I would also add, so please feel free to come up, but I would also add that the 211 system that is scheduled to be before your subcommittee on homelessness this week is an amazing resource, and if we can tout the 211 system, it really is a great resource in connecting anyone in our community to resources. So that would be something that I'm active in trying to get the word out and work with the organizations to truly share the information, as I know that you are bringing it before your committee.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for coming here tonight. And I don't know if you heard my question or comment, but I know you coordinate with the families that are within your pipeline. And we have inequities and unshelters within our school districts and our neighborhoods. So what type of strategies or outreach are you doing in order to connect more families?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Tiffany Povisai, and I'm from Family Resource Center. And so we, as an organization within 211 San Joaquin, we do community outreaches on a monthly basis. So we are out in all communities in different areas of the county outreaching to those families and those clients with social barrier needs. So we have staff that goes out anywhere from 20 to 30 different outreach events on a monthly basis. We are sending out communication to clients. We have a waiting list process. We do vulnerability assessments for all of the families that are needing these services. So the amount of outreach that we do in all of the communities is enormous.
So in the staff report, there was some numbers of families served. Is that what you foresee to serve, or is that what you've served in an annual basis, if you could just explain.
If it's in the scope of work, it's what we foresee based on the budget that is or will be approved or that is in the budget that we have requested. But given the fact that we have been doing 211 for the last 10 years, we bring in an average of 90,000 individuals across the county, and majority of the call volumes and the clients that we serve are in the city of Stockton through 211 San Joaquin.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your comments.
Vice Mayor.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, if Philandra, were you going to get up and speak for your organization?
Well, she kind of already spoke to what we do. We actually work alongside of them. Absolutely. Hello to you all. My name is Philandra Williams, and I'm with the Amelia Ann Adams Whole Life Center, and I'm the Director of Community and Health Equity and Housing Justice. So this is the work that I do. And so when you speak to what sets us apart in the sense of outreach, because we're on the ground, right? We are lived experience. And so we do that work. We actually work with them. 211 is one of the systems that we use to reach some of our families. Most of the families that do come in, we work through outreach. We do outreach actually 2 to 3 times a week in neighborhoods that are not normally touched, i.e. Kelly Drive. We go out south, of course, east, north. We have co-located services also throughout some of the schools. And so we do quite a bit of work to ensure that our families' needs are being met. Yeah.
Well, I'm familiar with both of you.
You're absolutely.
All right. I'm familiar with both of your organizations, and first let me say thank you for the work that you're doing in the community. Of course, obviously, this is something that my colleague, Councilman Padilla, is passionate about, as well as all of us are. My thing is, first question is, it sounds like you all work together. So is there a collaborative relationship between both organizations, and how does that work in the betterment of our community?
Yes, there's a huge collaboration between the two organizations. We refer clients to both of our organization based on their needs. And so when somebody calls into 211, we do a needs assessment. And depending on what their resources are that they're looking for, we do referrals over to Amelia and Adams.
Well, because one of the biggest conversations we just had recently with the congressman that the city manager was in was really about how we're getting our organizations in our community to collaborate better, to work cohesively, because we're all serving the same population and really trying to work to serving their needs. So thank you for that. The other question I have, and one thing I'm big on, and maybe this is for staff, so I'll ask Ms. McCarty or all of you, is really like how we're tracking our efforts, right? Because as we're investing dollars, I know the councilwoman's been all over the place looking for resources to address homeless crisis. We know that there are people that are living in their cars who may not be counted as part of the homeless crisis, and we have people on their way into the streets who are pre-homeless or pre-unhoused. So how are we tracking the outcomes, and do we have measurable, trackable, accountable, data-driven metrics that are going to be something that we can look for as a city once we approve, if that's what we do?
I'm going to ask Lanette to answer that question because she can give you more specific numbers of reports that we get.
Good evening, Lana Lozano, Homeless and Strategic Initiatives Manager, Economic Development. So with regards to the funding that we're talking about tonight, HAP funding, all of the funding is required through obligation and contract and includes system performance measures required by HAP through HCD. So all of the money has metrics and data tied to it. Service providers are mandated to use the Homeless Management Information System, or HMIS, and it is through HMIS that we track those performance measures. It also gets reported to the city as well as the state, and that's what assists us in getting more disbursements and approval or award of, say, our HAP 6 allocation.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman?
If there are no other further comments, I'd like to make a motion to
So
approve.
we have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Motion carries 7-0.
And staff, if we could get those data information from.
Absolutely. We'll make that available.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I pulled item 12.7, and I read through I read through Mary Elizabeth's email, her letter that she sent us. Thank you so much for the work that you continue to do to advocate for those who can't or don't have anyone to advocate for them, especially when it comes to tobacco. I just want to say, as we move forward with the ordinance on this, this is the first step, I think, in going in the right direction. When it comes to decoys, I look at our Explorers program or something like that, or even my youth commission, because, you know, I've got how many bags of these from my high school, you know? I mean, this is flavored, this is cannabis, this is all that. Adults, if adults want to smoke, by all means, you are legally of age and you can smoke. I don't recommend it though, but you can. There should be no flavored tobacco, period. That was outlawed in 2023, effective January 1st, or no, 2022, 2023. Anyway, no longer should be flavored tobacco. And I walked outside of an event the other day and I went, oh, what's that fruity smell? And then I looked and somebody was vaping, and I just was like, people don't realize the chemicals that are in that and what that has, the effect that's going to have. We're going to learn of it in the next 5 to 10 years for sure. We're going to see what damage that vaping is doing. But my question for police is whether or not, even with this grant, concern always is, do we have enough resources in order to do it? So, you know, we're down some officers. How are we going to dedicate people to doing this and making sure that the bad apples are taken out of the bushel?
Yes, it is very clear that the smoke shops, and especially smoke shops and tobacco retailers that are selling and marketing to minors, is a council priority. And so when we look at where are we putting our resources and where are we spending our time and energy, it is on a lot of those priorities, and it's very clear that this is a priority. We had a long discussion with my crew, both especially my vice unit that does this work, and they are understaffed, as many are, and so we're trying to use tools and resources like this to provide overtime to be able to do that on their either their Friday that they're not working or on a Saturday to go out and do this type of enforcement. They are confident that they can meet the needs of the grant over the 3-year period.
So is there a possibility maybe to partner with, and I'm just throwing this out there, Stockton Unified School District Police, just because they're often, I mean, I'm thinking about our kids. Yes, there are shootings, there are murders. It's all unfortunate. But school personnel are pulling these off of kids by the hundreds. And kids are also selling them. So they're getting their hands on them from somebody. Yes. And they are then sending them out. So they're on campuses. And if we find out where they get in, okay, snitches get stitches or whatever. But if we're able to, you know, really see who's going in and out, which is why I would love to have smart lights with cameras on them in the city so you could see people going in and out, or smoke shops have to have it so you can see the traffic. I don't know. I'm just pie in the sky. We have to stop this from continuing in the city of Stockton.
That's absolutely the goal. And we take a lot of intel both from the schools, the school district police, what the teachers and the administrators are telling us, and look especially at smoke shops and tobacco retailers that are close to schools, and they will be the first ones that get a visit from a decoy throughout the grant period, I assure you.
So when school gets out, like literally just be watching, because they're going into those smoke shops.
We do.
Right after school. So thank you so much for that. I'm looking forward to the results that hopefully we will get from the work that y'all are going to be doing, because it will be money well spent.
I agree.
Okay. So with that, I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Oops, sorry. I had my mic off. Item 13, administrative matters. If anybody would like something to be on a future agenda, now's the time. So, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I actually just wrote it down that I would like to get an update at a future council meeting soon, and I'll look to the city manager to tell me when, on our business license and permit process improvement. I know that that was something that the mayor and the group had talked about early on when we got elected, to just see that process be improved. So when do you think we can get an update, if I can get a second?
Second.
Typically, 6 to 90 days.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So if we can just put that on, that's the only thing that I had. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh, go ahead, Councilwoman Padilla.
Thank you, Mayor. Along that lines, City Manager, I don't know if it could be separate, or would, City Manager, if it could be separate or needs to be separate, but we do need a presentation or some education on our permit center, because I know that needs to be revisited or visited to improve the way the process is now.
Yes, and also 60 to 90 days.
Okay.
If we could.
No problem.
And we would definitely have that as a presentation for you.
Thank you.
Councilman Enriquez?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And apology, City Manager, if this is already in motion. I just want to note to the public, I know my colleagues are aware that we're about to hit the 1-year anniversary of the Light Up Stockton initiative vote that we did. So just for the public, I think also for our sake, if there's already something being planned in terms of an update, what's happened in the last year since that vote, would that be coming?
Yes, I have not scheduled anything, but we can also get that within that time frame. I think
Would
that'd be sufficient time.
Thank you, City Manager. Would I need a second of support just to have an update? Okay.
Second.
Cool, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to take just a quick restroom break for, let's say, we'll be back at 8:05. 8:05. Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. And we are now moving on to public comment. So, City Clerk, who would like to speak first?
Donald Tafoya. Aisha Abercrombie.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Lee, Mayor, and City Council. My name is Aisha Abercrombie. I am your new Vice Chair for your Art Commission. And I thank you for appointing me and letting me do that. It is very different in the audience than when I'm sitting up there the first month of Tuesday. But I am here, I'm personally here because I'd like to thank you guys personally for the jobs that you guys are doing for Stockton. A lot of people aren't seeing a lot of the changes, but I see the changes, and I thank you guys for that. Second is here for the Art Commission. We see the changes as well, and we like to thank you guys as well for what you are doing. Not only that, speaking to my chair and speaking to the other commissioners, we feel that, we would like a little bit more direction and guidance. I feel maybe Jason Lee, Mr. Vice Mayor, I would very much like to see if you would like to come on to the commission and help us out with the Art Commission. I feel that you might be able to give us a little bit of guidance and leadership on that. Just looking at some of the other meetings, different things, it felt to me like one door closed for you, but I feel like this door is open for you. And thank you very much.
Diana Butner with an ADA approved accommodation for 1 minute.
Okay. All right, for those of you who didn't understand why I got my accommodation back, there was a disconnect in communication in terms of the language requirement and what is actually required by the ADA. And I left that first night because I was pissed. And the bottom line is that while I was pissed off, I'm aware of how my emotions work. And so what I want to talk about is the advocacy that happens as a special education teacher. And as folks sitting up front, when we address the disabled, it's very important that we do not make them feel bullied. And that's literally how I felt. And it's not necessarily all of your fault, but it's happened in here multiple times. And I can't explain what that is. I understand censorship because that's what I run my mouth, and then that happens. But the bottom line is that please be mindful when you speak to the disabled, and maybe have somebody take them on the side and explain it to them without just saying this is a. I had no idea. I had never heard my disability be referred to as a language issue. And so there was some confusion on both sides. As far as why I come here, I want to address that as well. I don't have any favorites. That's not why I come here. I don't live in the city limits. My concern, and Ms. Pagazzi would tell you that what used to be spoken of by the mayor herself was that process was important. And there were times that there was at least one time that I remember under another mayor where she was bullied and I stood up for her. And so the reason I come here is not, well, this person or that person. It has to do with the silencing of the people's voice. And that's very important. The people need to be heard, and our representatives are here for that purpose. So it's really important that that decorum works across the board. And that's why I speak up about that. I know no favorites, and I'm not going to call you out just because I thought it would be fun that night. But I think it's important that we pay attention to how we're acting. My last issue here is public comments at the end. You're killing me. I'm having a hard time with that physically. And it's not, that goes to my other disabilities. But what I'm seeing is that we were told that last week it would be pulled and then it would be put back. And it costs me money to get here and to get back home. And just, oh, thank you. The issue is that my ability to sit for that long is very limited now. And, maybe I'll get lucky and get an epidural and won't have to worry about it again next week. But the issue is that there's transportation issues. We've had this conversation in council before, and it was, I believe, under Mayor Tubbs. And moving that in the end and having that, I understand that you went to a conference that was in Washington, D.C., and it was all the mayors gathered happily together to decide. I have a problem with that. I'm not sure what that's all about, why we need to. I understand it's an opportunity to go and get input, but I'm not sure that it should be up to an individual to decide if those are the rules that we want to follow. This is the people's house, and I want people to remember that. This is our house. This is where we have a voice.
Didi Waregi.
Hello, my name is Demetria Howdigi. I go by Didi and also Big Mama of the 209. Okay? Dear, I said to the mayor, to the vice mayor, city council, thank you for letting me be here tonight. I said, dear city council, Stockton leadership, hello, I'm writing this letter of introduction to introduce myself. My name is Didi, AKA Big Mama. I have lived in Stockton all my life and have worked with a number of nonprofits in Stockton to see their vision come to pass over 30 years. This past summer, I was part of a class called Hope City Supernatural Lifestyle Training Class, who took 19 people from Stockton to Africa. We accomplished our mission helping a struggling community, teaching their students, caring for the elderly, praying for the sick, and encouraging those in prison. When I came back from Africa, this was my second trip. I knew I wanted to step forward and see our teen center open. I want to see our teens have a place to enjoy their peers, their peers, have company, and feel seen, heard, and protective. I have seen the benefits from the Teen Center in the past. I was mentoring some teens from Sierra Vista community. I took some teen boys to the Teen Center to participate in the poetry program. One of the teen boys had recently lost his dad due to suicide. In my efforts to try to help him get his healing through his horrible circumstance, I took him and the other teens to the Teen Center where they were able to express their emotions down on paper. He did receive the tools and encouragement from the staff at the Teen Center to go on with his life. I am still in relationship with these young men now, and they are succeeding in life and productive citizens in society. Since the murders of the innocent children here in Stockton in November, all our hearts are grieved. I am stepping forward here tonight to let you know Big Mama of the 209 is here to express the need for the Teen Center to open its doors once again. I have been meeting with other individuals who are seasoned in the community in helping Stockton become a beacon of hope for our teens. I would like you to consider Big Mama as your next CEO to run for the Teen Center. I have met with City Manager Johnny Ford, sharing my vision with him about the Teen Center, and would like to get your approval, your vote, approving me to run the Teen Center. A vision of the Teen Center, hope for teens. All teens are welcomed. When I say all teens, I mean all teens. Okay? Legacy, to be a good steward of what we are given, what stories people are going to talk about at the end of our life. We have impacted Stockton. I want to share about the good people we have here in Stockton. We need to lay the pathway for the next 10 generations. I want to say I have invested in teens in Stockton to grow up and become great citizens. We can speak life into our teens. There are so many. Okay.
We have a copy.
Okay, you guys got a copy. Thank you. Big Mama, you see me out there? You got my phone number, you got my email? Give me a holla.
Autumn Brown.
One quick second.
Hi, Autumn.
Hi, Mr. Ghazi. Hello, if you don't know me. My name is Autumn Brown. I'm an 18-year-old who attends Edison High School. My Big Mama has not only played a big role in my life, but in others' lives. Stockton has nothing for teens to do. The only time I have been out of Stockton was when my Big Mama took me to a church camp in Chico. We cannot go into a store, as teens, without being followed or judged by our skin tone, the way we enter, the way we dress, or the way we literally talk. We need a place not only to feel wanted, not only to feel safe, but to feel loved and to be ourselves. Thank you.
Mary Elizabeth.
So I also submitted today, not as part of this agenda, but in regard to public participation. And the Brown Act calls for certain public information to be made available. So I ask again here, like when there's a new presentation, that it be posted for people that can't be here. I came a few months ago, the Community Development Committee was not receiving any of the presentations. Nothing was posted. And so, I submitted a cease and desist and followed up and was informed that the economic development was counseled, that they didn't have to submit or present or make available presentations at public meetings, especially public meetings when we're thinking about advising. We need to be equipped before the meeting, after the meeting, to think about it. And so I just call your mind to that in regard to the Parks and Recreation Department. And I'll thank Councilmember Padilla again for, bringing it and waving it and, like putting it out there. The Parks and Rec activities should not be the best kept secret in Stockton. And, by truncating that public participation process, that's what the essence ends up being. Here, I'm going to go ahead and submit this, but there's a public meeting on the Climate Action Plan Committee, and the committee members have not been notified. The committee members specifically asked to receive notification whenever there's any kind of meeting. So I'm going to say it here. On Saturday, this Saturday coming up, February 7th, from 12:30 to 2 p.m. at the Trokey Library, 502 West Benjamin Holt Drive. There is a Climate Action Plan meeting. And so having the participation of people, you got to tell them about it. You got to tell them about it. And so hear ye. Okay, we got a meeting on Saturday. I shared in that cease and desist, a situation where the tree group didn't communicate with the Parks and Recreation. So when people came up in that huge, big, giant park, that Stribley Park, that is a jewel, there was nobody there that knew anything about the tree planting that was happening way over in the corner. So, communicating, making sure that we don't have duplicate efforts is critical. CERT.
Pat Barrett.
Pat Barrett, resident. You know, my hat's off to you guys the last meeting. It just overwhelmed me. I mentioned it then. I thought about it. Wednesdays, phone calls, everybody's calling me, saying this stuff. I was just so happy to see Vice Mayor Lee and Councilmember Padilla leaning into each other and laughing. And when I saw Councilmember Enriquez and Councilmember Villapadua, they were over there, talking. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen this for like almost a year. Right? The last time I saw you guys being friends again. The committee, we talked about empty seats on the committees, and I'm going to say from my own experience, the reason why there's some districts that have full seats and there's some districts that don't have full seats is because when we go up there to make the commitment to these committees, we're on edge. Are we going to get disbarred? Are we going to get denied? Are we going to get pulled off of these committees? A lot of people don't want to go because then their tongues are tied and they feel it and they know it. And that's got to stop. One of the things that I did was listen to the pastor speak tonight. One of my comments was on cronyism, on the hiring in this roof. He mentioned fatigue. We're tired. We're tired. We're tired of cronyism. We're tired of people hiring friends. That's not a reality, and I don't want to hear that, oh, well, everybody does it. That's not an excuse, because that shows where wisdom is. Pastor said wisdom. I was like, we need wisdom, and the wisdom is to know that we can't have cronyism underneath our roof. You can't work with your friends. That's taboo, your friends and relatives. And then he said progressive. And I'm like, that's what we need. We need the progressiveness amongst us so that we can move forward, eliminating the fatigue and that wisdom to know what causes progression or results in progression and what causes fatigue. As our community, number one over here is, I'd like to see when our city manager is going to reinstate the oversight board committee. That's very important. A lot of people are asking me about it, when we're going to have that. It wasn't, I know I talked to you when you first got in. You said, give me some time, let me look at it. But a lot of people have been calling me and saying, can you bring that up? Can you bring that up? And I would like to see it. I had talked to somebody with OVP. One of the things I'd like to see is the other side of OVP. I know their hands were tied in the past, but they need to be able to speak about the other good things that they do come and communications that they have with gang members prior to shootings. And I think that's important because a lot of people are saying, oh, they don't do nothing, they don't do nothing. And I'm like, yeah, they do, but we don't know that.
Cynthia Gale Boyd.
This week than some of the previous ones. Now listen, I'd like to take about 15 seconds, if that's all right, Mr. White, and pay homage to Black History Month. If that's all right, Mr. White. It's the shortest month, but a month filled with contributions that this nation was built on. And I'd use the word ashe. That refers to a powerful West African concept signifying life's force, power to make things happen, and also let it be. That's the history of my people. I am my ancestors' greatest dream, and shall always be. Now, just a little cleanup. Madam Mayor, you wasn't here last week for me to speak directly to you, so a little housekeeping. Number one, about the rules of decorum, they seem like they get longer and longer. You didn't read them tonight, though, I don't think. But at either rate, when you do, they seem to get longer and longer and longer. I remember when Reverend Pastor Mayor Kevin Lincoln was sitting up there in charge, and one night you clowned me, spelled out your name so that I would pronounce it Fugazi. And And the next meeting was, Miss Boyd, don't talk to her. Well, forget about that nonsense. The pastor going on trying to go to Congress or someplace. Now, listen here. This idea of warning me last time about future punishments, it was unnecessary, uncalled for, and won't be tolerated. You can't give me some future warning. I was frustrated that night because I'm sick and tired of the town foolery. I'm sick and tired of the clowns marching into city council. I'm sick and tired of your blood slinging back there and then throwing it over. That's what made me speak that one cuss word. But you can't hold me hostage for the future. I speak clearly when I speak. The second point is when you say, Miss Boyd, don't look at her, look at me. I've been in public speaking all of my life, man, and I'm going to do what comes naturally. So don't tell me where I can put my eyeballs at. Save that spit for somebody else. I respect you, you respect me. When you came into office, we were down at the Fox Theater. I said, let's start all over again. But it don't seem like you're good at starting all over again. So I just want to remind all of you that you sit up there because of the people and for the people. Happy Black History Month.
Joseph Lopez.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. I'm first time speaking, second time here. I just want to say I am not for any more cameras, any more security being looked at upon us. There was one that was put in my neighborhood, what I just randomly seen at one point because maybe there was people drifting or doing donuts, and there was speed bumps. And guess what? They're still doing donuts and racing down those streets. So cameras, no, I don't like any more Big Brother looking at us. No more fees. And just thank you guys for being here and taking all the heat from the people. And I do want to say that I'm not a real big person on, I'll save that conversation for later, but I just want to thank you guys. That's all for now.
Ralph White.
Well, I had to come by here tonight because I've been hearing a lot of talk in the street about recalling and all that kind of stuff. Y'all know I master that, don't you? I'm known for doing a good recall and can recall anybody. The next thing is I'm here to say to you that I'm getting tired of reading about one of your council members up there talking about Miss Padilla, talking about Mr. Brando over there, Villaputa, also calling on the job of Mrs. Ponce, calling her job, talking to her boss and trying to get her fired. Called the job on Mrs. That used to be our vice mayor, Kimberly Wormsley, called her job and got her fired. Calling Padilla, calling Mr. Brando's job, trying to get him fired. Now, each one of you check and see what Ralph White says, right? I will not stand here and lie to nobody. But he might be the first one to get recalled. And I just might be the one to find a candidate to go against him since he's running around trying to find somebody and trying to call and go against Miss Padilla. Now, I've had my problems with her, but hell, I've learned to respect her. She does have a lot of courage, a lot of courage. I've been in her presence, I've talked to her 1 or 2 times, but very shortly, but I watch her on this council. Then I watch some of you backstabbers sitting up there, 1 or 2 of you. If you're going to be a man or a woman, or want to be a woman by being a man, always do one thing. Do the right thing and don't be afraid to stand up for nothing. Now, the next thing is I'd like to see a black in the clerk's office. I'd like to see a black. We make up 12.5% of this population. I want to see a black in our attorney office. We pay for that. The state and the federal government send us money for every human being in Stockton. I don't know how much they send it now, Johnny, but I know it used to be something like $3,000 or something per person. So therefore, our money is helping to fund this government. I would like to have 12% of black people in every department in this city. I'm going back on the old things I used to do. And that's back into asking, I don't want civil rights. I want our fair share of every job in every department. Police department got 600 and some people working. We're supposed to have at least 85 jobs there, and I'd be damned if we don't have about 8 or 9. That's a damn shame. And all these other departments. So I just put the clerk on notice.
Thank
Get
you,
a black
Mr.
in your
White.
office. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Okay, now we will move on to council comments. We have plenty of time for everybody to have 15 minutes tonight, so just putting that out there. But I do want to let everybody know that Councilwoman Ponce wanted to apologize. She started having a fever and not feeling well, and so she left. So she said I could disclose that. So I just want to let people know. So, Councilman Villapudua.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And then thank you, everyone, for coming out here tonight, even though we just came back from last week. I just want to give out a big shout out to our city manager, Johnny Ford, for everything you're doing, sir. You've been a big impact in our community, and not just me, as well as my colleagues. So I appreciate everything you're doing on the short notice, and looking forward to working with you. Give a shout out as well to Chief Police and Fire Chief. Thank you guys for what you're doing every day, every weekend, every night. You guys are true leaders in our community. So next Wednesday at 3 to 4, I'll be having my neighborhood watch at Shibley Community Center. So if you want to come over, learn about what's going on in the neighborhood, and want to get your feedback about certain things, please come out there. I'd love to talk with you and hear as well what PD has to say regarding the crime and all the activities that has been happening. So I just want to thank the mayor for passing me that baton when she was a council member. And then I got my next week water committee. I'm looking forward to with my colleagues, Councilmember Blauer, Councilmember Enriquez. I want to thank them for everything they're doing. Water committee is a big, huge committee in our district. And then, I don't too much to say as well, like Ms. Boyd says. So let's celebrate Black History Month from February 1st to March 1st, which is big. And then last week, I want to give a shout out as well to Ms. Boyd and her happy birthday. So, and then I want to give a shout out to the legend, former council member and vice mayor for 16 and a half years, Mr. Wellfleet White. So I want to wish you a happy birthday as well, sir. And then just want to thank all my colleagues as well. Keep up the good job. There was a lot of great wins today. And as well as wishing everyone a great weekend. Happy Super Bowl weekend. And go Patriots. All right, bye.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I had to edit my comments because I've obviously had to add a couple things. First, I'd like to say, it is Black History Month, so acknowledging all of the work that everybody is doing in the community to advance the interest and to elevate the history of our culture, I think is really important. I, again, want to mention the city manager and I have had conversations about how to uplift the MLK event and really partner in a real meaningful way next year, and so I look forward to those meetings happening fairly soon. I think there's lots to offer there. This past weekend, for work was Grammy Week. Obviously, that's my industry, and I spent time with a friend of mine whose name is Don Lemon. I just kind of want to bring up the incident that happened to him the night we were together at an event was really alarming, not just because it happened to Don, but because of what's happening in our country. What's happening in our country is also, and has happened here in our city, with respect to attacking those who are following their constitutional rights. I think that as much as all of us would like drama to go away, and this meeting tonight was an example that we can work together to get through items, we can work through complicated situations, and I think all of us have the will to do so. I think it's important to acknowledge when incidents like that happen, even though it happened in LA to Don Lemon, it's something that we should continue to talk with our children about, our partners about, our neighbors about, co-workers, everybody, because the Constitution does still matter in this country, and it's important that we're all looking to preserve that. I do want to respond to a couple public comments. Last meeting, I think somebody referred to me as the DEI vice mayor. I thought that was really entertaining, actually, because it showed the ignorance, the pure ignorance of an individual who took time out of their day to drive down here to spend time acknowledging what I've earned as an elected official and the appointment by the mayor, regardless of what she or anybody may feel today. I think as the vice mayor, as somebody who is elected and takes a lot of pride in the contribution that I make into my district, in my city, that I love, that made me, to reference me as a DEI vice mayor, I thought was somehow to take a dig or to make me feel smaller. That's impossible. I live and exude confidence, and everybody that meets me knows that. But I do want to just reference really quick the DEI issue, because obviously in the news I participated in a couple of interviews about why I decided to elevate it to the state and why Assemblywoman Rhodesia Ransom and the Senator Jerry McNerney have signed on to elevate it to the state. You know, this council is each of us are elected by our constituents to work as a collective body to advance the interests of every Stocktonian, regardless of race, color, creed. I think there was just a swipe at my sexuality a minute ago that was permitted here right in public, which I thought was, again, pretty interesting. But I stand here very confident in who I am. I'm not afraid to acknowledge every piece of who I am and every part of what I stand for. But when we talk about DEI, the reason why I asked my colleagues in the legislature to elevate it is because this council voted against full transparency and accountability to the obstruction of our process here that we all have agreed to. And so again, I'm not making that an indictment on the people here. People don't like me acknowledging the history. If you look back, you can see the votes and how that happened. And so I am thankful that it's been elevated to the state, because the constituents that put us here are also their constituents. As far as the people who come down and complain mostly about me are people that I beat in the election. I beat Ralph, I beat Zoila, and I beat them by huge margins, including the incumbent who lost by 15%. And so, you know, while these are my constituents that I care for, I think the record needs to always be true and honest. If you are a slumlord in our community, regardless of what district you live in, we're coming for you. If you are somebody in this district that wants to come down and lie for the people because it's your time in the sun, take your time. The accountability is still going to be what it is, because the mandate by the 50,000 people in my district is that I do what I've been doing, and I'm proud of the work that me and my commissioners and my colleagues up here have done as it relates to my district. In terms of the teen center, somebody spoke eloquently. I think her name was it Big Mama? Big Mama talked about the teen center. I just want to remind everybody that we brought an opportunity for funding for the teen center here, and it was voted down. And so I hope somebody's able to lift that building. I've even talked with the city manager about creative discussions with the school district maybe, and looking at how we reimagine areas that we own downtown to fit into our downtown development plan. But that was something that we tried. But I will say that hopefully this week and by March, we hear about funding that the Hollywood Cares organization was able to get to fund the creation and build of a district teen center in my district. We actually looked at land right across the street from Edison High School, and we are in discussions and hopefully awaiting approval for that funding. And listen, if it doesn't get funded, as Stocktonians, we got to keep on fighting for our kids, because at the end of the day, that should be our compass for all the work that we do. And I won't give up if we get denied there, and I'll keep going, because I've been showing this work and demonstrating this work for lots of years. I want to go back to the District 6. The way we structured our district in terms of communication is 3 parts to the district. There's Western Ranch, there's the corridor, and then there's Southeast Stockton, Sierra Vista. So we have meetings that happen respectively within each area of the district, and then there's a District 6 oversight virtual town hall that everybody's invited to, no matter where you are in Stockton, but it is overseeing and discussing all the things within District 6. That schedule will come out by Monday, and those meetings happen once a month, every month. And this year, our focus is very clear. It's going to be on youth programming, community beautification programs, and economic development, really seeing Western Ranch and Southeast Stockton developed. And I met with the city manager this morning and talked to him about the work that we did last year to kind of tee up the work this year. And we'll be having a meeting offsite to bring in all the developers once we can do our infrastructure study to understand where some of our infrastructure challenges are and how we plan to develop and how we can create a pathway to incentivizing people to develop there. As far as the community beautification program, I want to thank the city manager, our public works director, for meeting to hear those concerns by me and our commissioners. And the one thing that we're really talking about is how we keep the district clean. Yes, city services, as Councilman Padilla talked about, we like our city services, but our city service people can't stop you from throwing a refrigerator off the back of your truck or throwing bags of trash out. You know, we have an obligation to keep our community clean. And I don't like when people complain on Facebook that the city's not cleaning. The city did not throw out your dog bed. Your city did not throw a dead dog or animal on the side of the street. Those are things we have to work collectively, one, to prevent from happening. But if you see your neighbor doing it, see something, say something. We got to go to that Ask Stockton app and add it in there. And I want to thank Patty and our city manager who gave me a list of all the Ask Stockton requests for my district over the years. It was like 2,800. It was like crazy number of entries, but now we're going through them and sorting to see where we are, where the status updates are, and making sure that the public works part of the app and the Ask Stockton app are aligned, because when you go to Ask Stockton and upload it, once Public Works or a division opens it up, it closes out and Ask Stockton, but it's still active, and so we're addressing that so that way that can get better for all. Again, want to just promote Ask Stockton app. Please go to that tool. When I first got elected, I really didn't understand it. Now I get it. It's like the thing that drives all the work in the city, so really important. One of the things that I'm really focusing on, I want to again thank the city manager, is just really looking at how we can elevate our tax base, right? Ultimately, there's so many things we want to do in the city, so many things we want to build, but you need to have money to do that. So outside the grants that we're applying for and all those things, stuff like FIFA that hopefully will come before the city at some point soon are really important. Being able to make Stockton an attractable destination where people want to live, work, and do business. But you know, also I think there's a discussion at some point we have to have about liquidating our assets that we're not using, or liquidating assets that can help us, and other creative partnerships and businesses that we can bring here that can be helpful to our community. The joint use agreements, I know we had lots of conversation, me, Councilman Padilla, and the mayor, when we were a part of the interagency meeting with SUSD last year. We were given word that the CSD director at the time and the school district had worked out our understanding of joint use. I think we need to go back and revisit, especially in anticipation of being able to use our facilities during the weather changes and the summer anticipation of pools, wanting to make sure pools are open for our kids, that we make sure our joint use agreements with MUSD, SUSD, and any other school district are happening. And then I really want to just say to everybody watching at home, everybody here in the room, and anybody who's listening to this or sees this, is that your commission meetings, the commission meetings we have here at the city, whether it's the homeless ad hoc, whether it's water, whether it's crime prevention, audit committee, or legislative committee where we're developing policy, please come down and get active, because you know, a Cynthia Gale Boyd can walk in and say, what about this policy? And that may be something that we decide to focus on. Or somebody may come up and say, well, what about this ordinance? Or can you look into this spending? Or can you tell me about this process? Those trigger how we do the work here. And your involvement does matter. We are listening and we are activating on what you say. So when the Art Commission person says, I'd like to meet with you, I gave her my card, I'm going to meet with her and hear how I can be helpful. But you coming down and participating is important. And again, I don't want to seem like I'm just bigging up our city manager because I ain't got nothing to do. I do appreciate him saying to me multiple times, I want to make sure my staff are in these commission meetings when you're out there working, so we hear what you're saying and we can bring it back and institute it in our work. Because we set the policy and the budgets, he manages all the work that gets done. So I like the relationship where he understands to put his staff in those discussions to make sure that we're doing all the work that needs to get done. So please participate. There was another thing that was said earlier. There was a claim made, and I'm finding, I'm a sophomore elected official. It's like high school. First year, you're kind of figuring things out, finding out where the water cooler is. You're getting bullied by the seniors. You're finding your village. You're just getting your footing. And, I got a little bullied my first year, and it's okay, you know what I mean? Because I can hang with all of them. But now that I'm in my sophomore year and I look back over everything, the one thing I will say that I think is just nasty work is when we do our dirty work through the community or through people or complaints or what, I don't do my dirty work. If somebody gets up here and says something in support of me, it's because they felt compelled to do it. I don't need any friends. I don't need to pay people or whatever. Let me be very clear. I don't know who the allegation was about calling people's jobs or, the allegation of trying to get people fired. I think that's just complete nonsense. That is reality show produced content for city government. And if anybody up here is calling people's jobs, that's just nasty. You shouldn't do that. But we should be very clear about, not throwing out baseless allegations. The last thing is, I'm using my social media now in my second year and beyond more than I ever have. My first year, even though I was active on social media, I was very mindful of the things I put out because as you're trying to work with your colleagues, you want to be very mindful to not put things out on social media without giving people a chance to resolve things internally. But the one thing I realized in my first year is that there will be people up here that will sow chaos into your life and think that it's okay. And it's not okay. And I know that the mayor has said that politics are a blood sport, but this is what I said to her. Does it have to be? Because it really ain't necessary. Like, we don't have to sling blood. But when you sling blood and you're unapologetic about doing so and committed to re-slinging the blood will be slung back. And I'm hopeful that tonight's temperature and tonight's way of conducting business is something that we could do in the future because I got elected to do that work on behalf of my constituents. And tonight's meeting was an example of how we can work together. But I will be using my social media a lot more. I will be highlighting community leaders and businesses in my district to amplify and elevate their work and their efforts because there are stories out there that need to be told. And I am going to be launching a podcast. I was going to call it Stockton Unlocked, but I don't want to confuse people with my day job. It's not that type of job. It's going to be called The District, and it'll be me meeting with people from any district and every district who's doing the work in their district on the behalf of our city. And again, want to thank everybody who came out tonight, stood with us. I already wish Cynthia a happy birthday, and I'm going to get out a minute and 26 seconds early. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Blower.
Thank you, Mayor. About a week and a half ago, the Central Valley Asian Chamber did a ribbon cutting for Mission Pizza and Pub, and that's in my district, and it was one of the very rare ribbon cuttings in my district that I couldn't make. I had to work, and I couldn't get there. So I did get a certificate made up, and I went in last week, and I met with Tristan Kelly, the owner. And so I just want to congratulate him on and thank him for investing in Stockton. It was an interesting story. His grandmother started Mission Pizza and Pub in San Jose, and she passed on all the recipes to him, and he wanted to bring that to Stockton. So I had a chance to eat the pizza. On Sunday after church, my wife and I went, and I highly recommend the cheeseburger pizza. It was outstanding. And he served it with French fries, which I thought was funny. So highly recommend that. Okay, and then just very recently, the Greater Stockton Chamber of Commerce and the Central Valley Association of Realtors, they've been teaming up now for, I think, about the last 15 years doing the Stocktonian of the Year. Now, the Stocktonian of the Year is actually in its 64th year. It was something started by the Realtors. And very pleased to announce that John Vera has been announced as the 2025 Stocktonian of the Year. And I've emceed that event for the last, I think, 11 years. And I think they might ask me back, so maybe I will be doing that again. But I just wanted to congratulate John Vera on that. And then I'm going to keep my comments quick tonight. Last thing I want to do is thank the city clerk. She recently sent us an email with a report on our boards and commissions and gave us I appreciate the attendance and seeing what our appointees are doing. That's very helpful to be able to just see that they're doing the job. And I finally want to thank all my boards and commissioners, all my appointees. They had perfect attendance, so I was very pleased to see that. Yeah, and with that, I am done.
Councilwoman Padilla.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have to announce, District 1, the fences are coming down. I have a park that was actually, was it granted, Johnny? Granted by the developer to the city of Stockton. And it took some time to transfer from the developer to the city. And on a regular basis, I had been asked, when are the fences coming down? When are the fences coming down? And they are finally coming down. So this Saturday, 1 o'clock, we'll be gathering at Inspiration Park and doing a ribbon cutting celebration held in honor of our heroes, Captain Max Fortuna and Officer Jimmy Inn. So the name of the park was in their honor. And so Inspiration really reflects their legacy. And I say that is because they inspire us, one another, the public, through their courage, through their service, and just our dedication, or just their dedication to the community. So this is going to be a space for families to enjoy. There is a wonderful play structure. The grass area is huge, so I can just envision kids playing soccer, flying kites, just having picnics, all kinds of things out there. So this will just be a lasting reminder of their sacrifice and love for the city of Stockton. So I invite everybody who is available to join. Their families will also be there to honor their memory and open this beautiful space that we have for public use. Just a reminder that this Thursday at 4 o'clock here in City Hall will be our second ad hoc homeless committee meeting. We are going to have some presentations. And then on Friday, I probably mentioned this already, staff, myself and Councilmember Villaputa will be heading to Phoenix to visit some safe site programs. And the purpose of this trip is to gain more knowledge, more insight, so that we can move forward and develop our own Safe Grounds initiative. And City Manager, you're going to get a lot of kudos tonight. So I just wanted to take a moment publicly to thank you, because I shared my vision with you. You listened. You knew my thoughts, how I wanted to put it all together, and you really, truly always find solutions to make things happen. I know there are times when things can't happen because of budget reasons or other situations that come up, and you pivot. Yeah, I mean, if it can't work, you'll give me, another option. And so I just really, truly appreciate your partnership, and super, super excited to share more about this initiative as it comes towards completion here in 2026. And I never knew you before we hired you, so I didn't know this man, so I just wanted to say that. I don't often, on social media, I don't often post about things that have been fixed as far as infrastructure or city-related issues that I help with my constituents, unless it's, a safety hazard or something that's important that the community needs to know about. But today I helped a constituent with an issue that he was been dealing with. And after, we had our discussion, and he was really appreciative of the work that I have been doing. And he said, Councilmember Padilla, I just appreciate you taking the time talking to me on the phone, and he told me, is there anything I could do for you? And my immediate response was, I told him nothing. I feel that serving my community is a privilege, whether it's fixing cracks on the sidewalk, calling on abandoned cars, dumped mattresses or couches, or graffiti. I truly enjoy helping navigate city-related issues, and even most rewarding is the staff that does the work when I'm able to call, and typically it's in a very short time period, when I'm able to call that constituent back and it's fixed. Or they call me and say, you know what, that's fixed already. And I can't tell you enough how that fills my heart and my bucket. So if you ever need help, any city-related issue, if you have questions, you need direction, please don't hesitate to reach out. My number, 565-2421, even if it's not in my district, because I've helped other individuals several times, and Blower can attest, I always take pictures of things in his district and say, here you go, this is for you. Again, I just wanted to let the community know that this is what makes me happy. And again, if you need anything, just please reach out. So thank you, have a great week, and I can't wait to share what we learn in Phoenix and then speak about what's to come forward. So super exciting things for 2026.
Thank you. Councilman Enriquez.
Thank you, Mayor. So first, I'm going to start off with infrastructure, just so my constituents that are watching knows very well. I might speak for 13 minutes, 15 minutes. We're going to find out. The restrooms at Oak Park and Victory are coming soon. I just connected with our city manager, so once we get an update on that, it is coming. So once we find out, I will let my constituents know on the XLU restrooms coming to Oak Park and Victory Park. So again, I want to thank city manager and our staff for all their hard work and all the advocacy and the funding efforts over the years to get these installed at two of our biggest parks. In terms of graffiti, we have had someone that has been putting the word PEDO throughout parts of the city, primarily in District 4, but we have been taking photos of those. I want to thank my constituents who have been sending me those photos, as well as telling them to also submit it via Ask Stockton. But we got several covered. Thank you to our graffiti abatement team to covering West Jamestown Street, alongside that whole street as you go right into North El Dorado going south. There's about maybe 7 graffiti along the fence, so that's already been in Ask Stockton, as well as one covered over at 662 West Walnut Street and 1740 West Flores Street, which was also covered. In that particular corner, I spoke to the constituent who lives there. His name is Miguel, and he was also thankful because, and also to our staff, because along that underpass, there was a lot of unhoused folks, as the councilwoman said, trash, mattresses, et cetera, throughout that area, and also an encampment literally right behind his fence, leaning against his fence. There was dogs that weren't leashed properly, so I want to thank our staff for clearing that. But I let Miguel know that we were able to deal with this backyard issue, deal with the trash alongside a popular road next to him, and getting the light pole graffiti fixed, as well as the sidewalk, which there is a temporary repair with the cracks. So if you want full service, you will get it from me in District 4, so please continue to reach out to me when it comes to any issues you all see. Going to potholes. Apparently everyone thinks it's my favorite thing, but it is. We covered 10 small potholes alongside 4540 North El Dorado Street. And when people say online, why are you always thinking about potholes? Why aren't you focused on fixing the streets? Yes, that is always something that we want to do. But again, we have a reality called our budget and our limitations. So as much as we want to repave all the roads in Stockton, I'm sure I can speak on behalf of all my colleagues. I wish we could. But at the end of the day, that's something that we're fixing your alignment or preventing any issues with your cars, your vehicles. Those are so annoying whether you like it or not. Would I also want a mile of repaved road? Yes. Over 10 small potholes? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, this is if you know 4540 North El Dorado, as you're going down that main street, you take a right and it goes into apartment complexes, the Stockton Nursing Center. So it's a pretty heavily used road. And again, I want to save you a car bill. So that's also really important to people that use all of our roads. So small fixes, it doesn't fix everything, but still something important and goes a long way to someone that you may not think otherwise. Also speaking of the Stockton Nursing Center, I know I mentioned at my last comments, we fixed a major pothole there outside of 4545 Shelley Court. You hit that sucker no matter what side you were on, because it was directly right in the middle, and it's already a narrow street as it is, so you can't avoid it even if you tried. And then also 101 West Alder Street, right outside of Islanders and the Laundromat, right in the middle alongside near the Miracle Mile. That also was flagged to by my constituent, who I saw at a restaurant on the mile, and she flagged it to me, so she was able to send me a photo, and we were able to get that through Ask Stockton. And then the last two, for now, are two submitted near the 3100 block of Monte Diablo Avenue. So again, just thank everybody for the alerts, and then you all see my social media where I post a lot of before and after photos of infrastructure fixes for District 4. In terms of events, last Wednesday, we had a very successful second community meeting regarding Oxford Circle. I want to thank our city staff and Penny and everybody who was there to just continue to get feedback about the money we have set aside for Oxford Circle, the different layouts and the options for people that live in that area to consider. And then we will be moving forward with another third community meeting that I will be posting shortly. But I wanted to let people know that while we do have money aside, I also want to ensure that every citizen that lives in that area is aware of these meetings or aware of the potential changes. That way no one is caught off guard. We've seen in the last year, not just in local government, but in general, communication is really important. I joke with the mayor a lot. I'd rather you over-communicate than under-communicate, because in that way you can always cover your bases in terms of what's documented and what's not documented. And I never want to look at a constituent and say, this is moving forward, and I'm sorry you didn't hear about it. That will never come out of my mouth. I always want to ensure that I'm very thorough and detailed, and communications go out. I don't like surprises either. So again, if there's anything that you all want to address, you know how to reach me. I try to make myself as available as I can, even though in reality it is technically a part-time job as a city council member. This is still something that everyone's different. We all manage our workloads different, but this is something that I know, and people in my district have seen that I take very, very seriously. Let's see what else. Thank you to the Greater Stockton Chamber of Commerce. They organized a ribbon cutting for Fresh Hot Bread All Day. Yes, that is the name of the business on Grand Canal Boulevard. If you haven't gone by, please try out their señorita bread. I made a funny bread pun, but nobody got it when I said it was loaf at first sight, and nobody was laughing. And then when I said I was asked to come to the meeting, I said, oh, that's a no-brainer, and nobody laughed. But it's okay, I'm going to try. I can't be as good as Michael Blauer with his famous dad jokes, but I was getting there. I will get there one day. But really, loaf at first sight, it's hilarious. All right. Also, I want to thank LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, for organizing their annual craft feed. All the funds go to raising scholarships and youth conferences here in Stockton, and then also their annual holiday baskets that they do in December, especially to Ana Orellana, Ines Ruiz-Houston, John Solis. And I also want to thank Councilmember Blauer for joining me for that night. And I know Councilwoman Padilla was there as well, and a couple other elected leaders supporting that great cause. So one of the big things that is political, whether you like it or not, last week I joined a press conference with Congressman Josh Harder, also with Assemblywoman Rhodesia Ransom, Senator Jerry McNerney, and others outside of the ICE facility that is unfortunately in my district here in Stockton. And it was empowering to see elected leaders be united on this issue and to really make a statement. You know, I was telling the congressman that, well, I'm proud that Stockton was the first city in the county to lead with a compassionate city resolution, and I know I'm very grateful to all of my colleagues up here for that vote. At the same time, one of the things I focused at that press conference was I want to continue to be proactive versus reactive, and really continuing long-term solutions, bringing people in, no matter you're popular or not, whether it's comfortable for you or not. I think as elected leaders, we have to go into spaces and listen to people, even if you know you're going to be the main topic of debate or frustrations. That is our job. Our job is to listen. But one of the things I took from that press conference was, also challenging the other elected leaders that, we had representation from the state legislature, the county board of supervisors. But even then I said, it doesn't have to take a resolution or a letter that I put out publicly to now start organizing. And I'm not saying that's the main reason, but a lot of the people in the community were saying, once that letter came out that I put out, you started to see a lot of motion. While press conferences are important to get the word out about where you stand, now the next step is what you plan to do about it. What are the ongoing issues and efforts that the county can do? Who I've yet to hear about what they plan to do to protect our citizens. The state legislature, I think it was a nice first step, but I still want to continue to have conversations with the assemblywoman and the senator to do more work on this front and to see what solutions they have. And I know they will, as they have been just good overall partners on this fight. And then throughout that weekend, I was hearing from a lot of constituents too, and we had organizers, mainly from the United Farm Workers Association, where we organized over the weekend, and I was giving them updates about what Stockton was doing and the press conference and what else we can do as the year progresses. So again, I want to just be very vocal on where I stand on this issue. I will continue to be on work on this issue. If I have to send letters every month, so be it. I will continue to do that until I have access. But one of the things that the congressman did confirm is that it is a detention center. People are staying overnight. He described I don't know if it's cells or the beds where people stay at, but there was a lot of questions that weren't answered, such as how many of them are undocumented versus citizens, how many of them actually have a criminal background, how many of them are minors, which we've heard of a minor being there as well. So questions that weren't answered, but I think as a community, if you care about this issue and if you care about your neighbor, please continue to put pressure on this piece. This is something that is important, and every elected official should be able to say their stance on this issue, whether they like it or not, because I think we're at a point now where you just can't put a blind eye and ignore it. I think you have to say what you're going to do and how you feel about this issue, and I think at least for this council, we did at a couple meetings ago. So, but the work continues. In terms of upcoming events, I have my first ever Walk the Block with Mario this Saturday, February 7th at 11 a.m. to noon. There we will have our police officers, community leaders, and neighbors who will join me as we walk through Lewis Park. I know we've had some emails recently about, over the last the last year, about public safety. So that was something that I wanted to ensure that I'm listening to my neighbors loud and clear that public safety is a priority. But we will be walking through that entire park to get feedback, to hear from neighbors. I also know that another constituent called me about animal control, and I know that's been something that we've heard loud and clear throughout the entire city about the limited resources we have, but also addressing how dogs aren't being spayed and neutered and litters everywhere, and dogs aren't being leashed, and dogs biting people and things like that. It's really becoming a growing public safety issue. So that's something that I know I'm going to be working with our city manager. I know we weren't able to meet this week, but that is something that I hear loud and clear from our constituents. And then also, just in closing, I just want to be able to say that I think 2 weeks ago, Councilwoman Padilla, the mayor, Councilwoman Ponce were in a joint meeting with the County Board of Supervisors. And it was the first time I actually saw now Chair Supervisor Sunny Dollywall. And I know I may have shared this story before. I probably said it a lot when I was campaigning. But he was the one that appointed me as the Lathrop Youth Advisory Commissioner when he was a council member 26 years ago. So it was just great to see both of us up on the dais. And he actually said it first. He said, "Oh, Mario, that's so crazy. 26 years ago, you were a 12-year-old kid, and now we're up here voting on something that really does matter to people." So I say that for the record because sometimes people don't know my background, don't know my story, but I don't know what anybody up here at 12 years old was doing, but I was in the community at the Lathrop Youth Advisory Commission fighting for a skate park. So I can say that at 12 years old, but I say that with pride because public service runs in my blood, and it's something that I'm deeply, deeply proud of what I get to do. So with that, even though I have less than 3 minutes, I'm going to be nice tonight. I'm going to finish early, but again, please continue to reach me at dist4@stocktonca.gov, or you can call me at, I think my cell phone, let me check really quick. I think it's 209-645-2711. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Okay, several comments. First thing, I want to explain my no vote for the DSA item that we had. It's not because I don't want DSA. It's because I thought 20 years with having that increasing tax amount without justification for it was something we needed to work on, and because here I have somebody's property tax bill. It is a resident, and their Downtown Stockton Alliance is 30.4% of their bill. It's over $1,000. Yes, and so I'm just like, what? The tax from the county was $1,156.18, but Downtown Stockton Alliance is $1,003.28. So I think that we missed an opportunity to allow people who are homeowners who, if you're cleaning their sidewalk, it shouldn't be based on how big their property is, but what is the linear feet that they have in front, which is set rate, I thought would help with that. And so that is one of the main reasons I voted no. And because it was so close that this one zone did not want it, but que sera, sera. But I do want to be full disclosure as to one of the main reasons why I didn't support it. I still support DSA. I just think it should be where the businesses are, where the people are, which is in the core of downtown. So last week, when I called for a recess and I left and I explained why I was leaving, but still there was a negligent headline out saying, Mayor leaves meeting, doesn't say why, or something like that, because as soon as I got to the conference, Ron Bernal, the mayor for Antioch, said, Fugazi, did you see this? Didn't you tell him? Didn't people know where you were going? I said, yes, I did. I was going to the winter meeting for the U.S. Conference of Mayors, where I want to disclose all of the amazing things that happened there. So, local infrastructure hub, where I got information on grants and navigating evolving requirements, hence potholes and streets, amongst other things. We had the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Policy of the United States Department of Transportation there, as well as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Intergovernmental Affairs. I also went to the state federal housing legislation, where they are talking about, let me get out my packet, so, you know, people having home ownership as opposed to being lifetime renters, and the programs that they're developing. So, you know, that you have a mortgage lock-in. We had different people, again, from the federal government there that were sharing the different programs that are going to be rolling out, tax credits, and that if you sell your house, so like if you have 3% interest, you're probably not going to sell your house because your interest rate is so low. But they will give you 100 points reduction on your interest if you do sell it, because it's usually probably a starter home, but people won't get out of those starter homes because it doesn't pencil out for them to get into one where the interest rate is 5.5%, 6%. So anyway, that was another great session that I went to. I was there with, and notice I'm wearing two different outfits. I was there with mayors from California where we're working together. One of the mayors is from Andrea from Vallejo, where we talked about maritime and we talked about partnering up because they have a larger dry dock, but partnering up, and when we look at manufacturing and shipbuilding, so kudos for that. I'm super excited to work with her on that. Also, met and spoke to the president for FIFA. I got a picture with the trophy. I got some balls, and there's going to be some balls, I think, being soccer balls, okay? And I'm looking forward to the shipment that he promised me of World Cup soccer balls. But if you want to get tickets, it's all lottery, okay, for that. National Endowment for the Arts, I found out that we can get grants between $10,000 and $100,000, okay? So I'd love to get together with the chair for the Arts Commission so we can discuss that. And I spoke to one of the managers for the program, and she said, I'd love to help out Stockton. Mayors Play Ball, this is about bringing more youth activities to Stockton. And guess what? There's free money. So, you know, people are wondering, why are you going all there? Because I'm trying to get money and resources for our city. Mayor's playbook on AI, it is here, it is happening, it is now. There's a mayoral fellowship where they will come here to Stockton and help us with our, it's an institute on city design. So we talk about, why can't we have a river walk? Well, guess what? They'll come here, they will work with us on developing the plan, and then connecting us to others who can help fund that plan. So those are just a few of the many different sessions I went to, and I want to share with Councilmember Enriquez, Mayor Johnson of Chicago. So he was there and he spoke. He said, our democracy is stronger because of peaceful protest. So we've had a lot of youth that have walked out of school that are peacefully out there protesting. It says, riots are cries of the unheard, which is what we don't want. I too, happy birthday to the king that we have, celebration on Saturday. Also, happy birthday to Cynthia Gail Boyd as well. CENCAL, real quick, CENCAL. So that is our fire collaborative. It's a JPA, Joint Powers Authority, with Lodi, Tracy, Stockton, and AMR. It's going to be going before the Board of Supervisors for approval, so all the cities have already approved it. Now it goes before the Board of Supervisors. That will be next Tuesday, February 10th. I plan on being there to support it. BCMs, big city mayors for California, we were able to secure $500 million towards HAP funds, and I want to say how happy I am that we're able to demonstrate in Stockton where those funds are going and what housing projects have been funded by that, what Councilwoman Padilla is doing, what we just approved tonight using those funds. We're being responsible with taxpayer dollars. Let me look at my time. Oh, I got plenty of time. So I want to thank PG&E and OES and city staff for getting out the information about the unfortunate train derailment that caused power to go down. They had it up. I was on the phone saying, hey, we're going to have to move the CENCAL meeting because there's no power in City Hall. And as soon as I hung up, the power went on. But our phones didn't work either because guess what? They work on power, so you had to use our cell phone to make those calls. Boards and commissions, yes, I think it's District 6, District 3, and the mayor. We have 100% attendance. Yay to all of those commissioners for showing up to all of those meetings. Very proud of that. But speaking about commissioners, there is a creed. We sign it. Commissioners sign it as well. And we need to make sure that we abide by that creed because guess what? We represent the people. And even though it can get messy at times, our commissioners, though, are literally lay people that are to be the voice. And I believe, just as I do for ourselves, we need to be exceptional, not toxic. So, you know, if you want to come here and make comments, by all means, come here and make comments. But if you're spreading lies on social media, I would say that's not a good move. Animal shelter, surf and turf. I was there on Saturday because I love animals, bringing up animals. Obviously, I am a dog mom. They had almost 100, I think they had more than 100 raffle items. I said, who is your raffle organizer? Because to have that many raffle items, I know some organizations, they might have 20 or 30, but they had the most I've ever seen at any event like that. And I got to sit with some of the record staff from the police department. I just said, can I join your table? And they said, sure. And it was great getting to know them and the work that they are doing to support our officers and our residents each and every day. This Saturday, there will be the Veterans Powwow at Edison High School. It will be there all day, so if you have an opportunity, stop by there. Also, on February 12th, because we will not have another meeting, the grand opening ceremony of the African American Chamber of Commerce will be happening, 5250 Claremont Avenue. It will be at 5 p.m. on February 12th. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was Councilmember Enriquez graciously asked me for more information regarding the movement of public comment. And meetings of the board are held in public, okay? Meetings of and they're not meetings of the public, even though they are. So we have to get through city business, and there have been times when we've had to continue items because we never even got to them. Public still can comment on the items, and then they have comment that can come later into the meeting, but we really need to get through those. And that's why I was a little upset, I will say upset, at our last council meeting because I didn't get to vote on items. I had to leave before the meeting was over. But having 2 hours of public comment, love it. I love public comment. I've always loved public comment. But we also have to get to the business that we have on our agendas. And yes, this is the people's house. Yes, the people, their voices need to be heard. And they need to be heard on the items we're going to vote on. Like, we need to know what your thoughts are on those items. So I have that there. And I would like to close, I think that's everything on there. I would like to close the meeting in honor, a moment of silence for Florence Lowe's father who passed away. 94 years. I wish my dad could have made it to 94 years. But nonetheless, even if you're prepared, you're not prepared for it. And so if it's okay, I would like to close with a moment of silence for Florence's dad. Okay? And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All
Second.
those in favor say aye.